Streams up, she's in the zone, breaking it down from her comfy throne. Smart as hell with a side of flair, politics sass and a killer stare. Crazy's lurking tail in the frame, chat's already playing their games. That target day, sharp and bold, hot takes drop while the chaos unfolds. Truth with bite within the way, still showing up every streaming day. Brains and vibes, she leads the pack, now buckle in, no looking back. That dark night, let's go!
Well, hi. Good morning, everybody. Good Monday, everybody. Barmy is here, well, was here a little bit earlier with the kitty cat thingy. Barmy, we have something for you if you haven't caught up with last week's stream. Hi, Davina. And Lucy. Hey, Lucifer. Yeah. So, yes, I decided that I'm going to continue. I don't want to just not finish this. It's worthy of finishing the Jordan Peterson versus Atheists debate. And later on in the week, we're going to continue talking about it in any case. We are going to hopefully get on Cade, who was a participant in this debate. We could hopefully get him on and go through what he experienced. That would be cool. But we're going to do that, and then I haven't finished the whole diagram. I don't think that that's right. And also, I want to get into Zena's claim, the girl who was chosen to argue with Jordan Peterson afterwards. So we're going to take it really chilled. It's Monday. Let's not act like, it's the start of the week. Let's try and just get stuff going, flowing nicely, chill out a little bit. Okay, last week I was properly out of it. Now we're just gonna take it easy, and we're gonna diagram further. Finish. You put me in the background if you're busy doing stuff. I will be good. I promise. I won't yell at you much. And if you're new here and you're watching from the VOD, the future, hi. Drop a like if you like the stream. If you're not a fan of long form content, you're in the wrong place, because we are going to sit here for hours to get through this. So maybe I should just start, don't you think? It'd be a good idea. Barmy, let me know if you're here, because I will play a song for you. Hello, Atheist Gamer. Good to see you back here again. I think a lot of people are full with this. They are not ready. They are done. They want to leave it alone and move on. But I'm not. So let's get going. Yeah. We've got claim 4 and claim 5 ready to go. I didn't, if I remember correctly, I didn't finish claim 3 properly. I mean claim 4 last week. So let's see where we're at. I thought I was done, but I couldn't leave it. And then afterwards we will, I think we finished today. And afterwards what we'll end up doing is doing an old debate from Jordan Peterson, a formal one, but where he is on a panel, or like on a team with Stephen Fry, well-known atheist. So we'll have a good time there. They are going to be talking about political correctness, and we'll be using an old diagram for reference. So I like the revisiting. Why, Kitty? Why? Because I love it. That's why. I understand if you want to sit this one out. It's not compulsory, okay? This is extra credits stuff. So you do have a choice. But also you don't. I'll be very upset with you if you don't hang around for this last thing. Okay, let's get going. Let's close this net, and music gets turned on. There you go. And let's get our video on.
Morality, but deny the religions. There's such a thing as a central target, and that
absurdity to say that the Christian God doesn't fit within Christian ethics, that like the Christian
I
God
didn't
isn't
say
like
that.
Christian
I
ethical.
said that the specific statements that you
Gotta figure out where we were. Okay, let's go to diagram screen. Wake up, I'm here. Thank you, OBS. Good lord. Okay, created a different universe than the one he created. Okay, we're still talking with Ian, right? Are we? Yeah, we're still talking to Ian. So it's over here. Oh, how did I forget to take out my transcript? Who forgets the transcript, really? Okay, welcome back. Where were we at? Testament, unsurprisingly, the derivation of the word is inspiration. Okay. Going to be double bound. Let's put you here. Everybody structure yourselves. Be good. And I guess you can go here. 2 chats. We're good. Going to walk doggo. We'll be back later. Enjoy your walk. Touch grass. Pick up after your dog when it poops. All of those good things. See you, Doldo. Okay. Where is our double blind? Don't even know how far we are.
distinguish between that, though, at the human level.
How do we distinguish between whether...
Between our transforming understanding of perfection and perfection itself.
Between our
we can only, yeah, well, we can only see through our own lenses.
Presumably a perfect being would be revealing all of these aspects all the time, especially if God's outside of time. I don't know how a God who's outside of time is revealing different things at different times. That just seems like incoherent to me.
Imagine something that's perfect.
Sure.
And complete.
We'll do it. Oh, also, if you believe in an all-knowing God, then free will is impossible. Because
wait a sec. Wait, let's not go to that yet.
You threw free will into the mix.
Well, that was the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to God could have created a different universe. So we're going to go into that conversation. I have no idea. There's going to be double bind. So either he couldn't have done it, which he lacks power, or if he does it, do it. There we go. What do you make of the double bind? Is it a defeat of the Christians everywhere? No, it isn't. For some, again, it comes down to a choice of how you're going to perceive God. You can perceive the answer that Peterson gives is generally accepted, where it's God revealed his revelation in a certain way, in a certain pattern across time for us. That was his will. You don't need it to be perfect. It doesn't. You are questioning God's will by doing that. It of course is a circular thing because you have to accept God before you decide that you can't question his will. So it is it's a defeat for people that don't believe, that don't want to believe. I think if it's a big enough problem for you, I think it'll stop you from believing. Yeah. For me, it doesn't. For me, it's just the way it is, and that's where it comes down to choice. Okay. We need a yakety sax background music to the debate. Can speak to Creamage about that. He's been giving us the kind of lo-fi music. So okay, cool. Having a good day. Hope you're also having a good day, Davina. Guys, I was able to do a whole complete 10 minutes of not yoga, Pilates today. So I'm hoping that the whole fiasco of what last week was is done, because also tomorrow's my birthday and we have to make that a good day. No recovery migraine day, whatever. That yeah. I just hope that this week let's make it a better one. Okay, I could have done it in case we don't have. Cool.
You said, why wouldn't God? Well, you know,
it's
1,000 years of deep thinking philosophers would disagree with you. But
and 1,000 years of, or at least like the last 50 years of philosophers would disagree with you. These analytic philosophers, people like Graham Oppie make arguments about the incompatibility of omniscience and free will, that if God created this world, if he chose this.
Thank you, Lucifer, but it's only tomorrow. I'll take that for tomorrow, okay? I'm just transferring it tomorrow.
World instead of that world, then he makes it causally inevitable every single action that you are going to make. If he made a world where we were just electrons in love, then none of this would have happened. But by making us in this world, knowing exactly what's going to happen in the future, it makes all of those events inevitable, which means that they're all causally determined, which means that we have no free will. If you believe in an all-good God, or an all-knowing God that made everything.
Well, have it your way.
Okay, cool. So then the free will theodicy fails.
Well, it fails for you. That doesn't.
Yeah, that you see what I mean, atheist gamer. That's where it is, which highlights some kind of problem. Okay, but the double bind is a logical argument done in good faith, which highlights some kind of problem. It's a problem, and this is exactly where I've gotten to with Peterson here, where he goes, well, that it's a problem for you. It's a logical problem for you. For me, I go that my inability to square that circle is because of my finite being, trying to understand what an infinite, beyond time person thing is trying to be. So I've decided to take one answer, you've decided to take another. That's the point. That's the only difference. So I know it's horrible. It's not a good thing in a debate to say, well, have it your way. But actually, that's what happens with an atheist and a believer when it comes down to it. It goes, they go, that doesn't change my mind. It just doesn't change my mind. But you're like, but I've won. I've got my logic in it, and the logic, the logic, and the person goes, sorry, I've let go of human understanding and I've decided to put my faith in God. And that then becomes like, okay, well, I guess we can just explore the differences between us. We can't really convince each other else into it. I don't think that it should be a thing for a Christian now has to like try really hard to convince. Just say, look, this is what it's like for me. This is how I deal with it. Because I surrender absolutely every single time to, oh, fuck, I don't know. I just don't know. Or I go all the way down to, I just don't fucking know. And I trust that God does. And I trust what God said. So yes, I'm trusting something. I'm taking a leap of faith. I literally call it that. But yeah, I guess the debate is won. But that's not going to change anything for me. Yeah, interesting. Hi all. Hey Hunty. Peterson would argue that it's technically already tomorrow. So happy birthday. Thank you, WZ. Hi Hunty. Jordan is not highlighting the psychological difference here. The mechanisms of the difference is his academic area. He's not highlighting the psychological difference here. So you're saying he should do that? He should be highlighting the psychological difference between what belief and unbelief. Like, have it your way. This is why I said my note here is the inevitable conclusion of an atheist versus a Christian debate. You're going to get that's your way, this is my way. Which I'm still trying to have some thoughts about. In terms of what is the point then with debate? What is the point if we're always going to go and find? Is it still valuable? And I do think it's still valuable to go down to the level at which, where exactly do we disagree? Where exactly do I differ from you? Okay, then free will theodicy fails. Fails for you. That doesn't mean you've disproved it. You tried to make a case for a causally deterministic universe. I don't think there's any evidence for that at all. He doesn't back this up. And do you think that God could have created a different universe than the one that he created? He should be able to say yes. He should be able to say yes, he could, but he has to say, I have no idea. So what I thought is that he probably is just going for God is unknowable, so I don't know. I would be placing my own knowledge upon God if I did this. But generally it's like, no, he could have done that, but he has a will. He has his own will. So he can make the choice. And if you find it unfair, it's because you don't understand. Like, your position is different to mine. If there is a reason for difference, he ought to know it. Or are we speculating? If there is a reason for difference, he ought to know. He ought to know it. I think he should be able to discuss it. Yeah, he should go into this. The God is unknowable. That's the most thing he could go into for himself. But let the person go on and let them explain. Oh well, okay. Free will is something that he can't understand how God can know what I'm going to do, but God is determined. This is actually a conflation. The fact that God is knowing what you are going to do means that he's decided it. That is a conflation. Just because God knows what you're going to do doesn't mean he's made you do it. But at the same time, God's will overarches absolutely everything. So if it's God's will, this is what will happen. You still are acting as a free agent. And you still need to make the choice to believe in God, according to God. If you believe in God, then you need to. It really, you know what? You're not losing anything as an atheist by not believing in God. If you're like, yeah, well, there's nothing for this person to give me. There's nothing for this here, because you essentially need to believe in him first before you even figure him out. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. Okay, so then there's going to be a double bind. Either he couldn't have done it, in which case he lacks power. Okay, which is that this is there was a name that I looked up for it. They've got all these names for these different arguments because they're so old. He could have done it, in which case we wouldn't have free will. So that's a conflation. Okay, it's just you don't understand how we can have free will at the same time as having God's providence. But that's a failing argument for an atheist in any case. It's not an argument that's going to convince an atheist. That's it. I think there is some point in a stage of belief where you actually do have to go, fuck, okay, I have to believe something, or I'm going to believe something. You don't go, you make a choice. You actually make a choice to believe it. And I guess the person that is an atheist has made the choice the other way. So no matter what we bring up to you, it's not going to change your mind. You have to find it yourself. Because he chose this world instead of that world, making the events of this world instead of that world inevitable with his infallible knowledge. Okay, so I need to say, I don't think Peterson brings it up, but it's conflation of knowing what is going to happen with making it happen. And there is rejection of the idea that both could coincide. The idea that he could know and not force you. That makes no logical sense for them. Therefore, cast out. Okay. If God sets up the universe and knew the outcome, he willed the laws of physics, biology, which leads to my thoughts. So he bears the responsibility for my choice in every direct way. So he bears the responsibility. He didn't give you He didn't bestow you with responsibility. It's his you were not you did not give him consent to create you, and therefore he has caused everything. It is him who has made all of this happen. So it's kind of silly for him to even expect anything of you. I get that. I have no clue who this Jordan guy is, but he's so sure isn't presenting the Christian argument well. You don't know who he is? It's the all-knowing attribute that makes God responsible. Okay. Yeah, okay. I mean, for you, that's the thing. It makes he's responsible, yeah, okay. There's duality, for me at least. Infallible knowledge. If man can overcome his biological aggression, is that God who allowed it, or did he do it? Ooh, hello, Wade. Good to see you, Wade. Whoopsie, sorry. Let's go.
I mean, you've disproved it. I mean,
Do you want to
tried
respond
to
to
make
the argument?
Yes,
He didn't on. Yeah, he's very good. Do you want to respond to the argument though? Yes, you may try to make a case for causally determinal universe.
tried to make a case for a causally deterministic universe. I don't think there's any evidence for that at all.
Do you think that God
Well, that's your argument. It's not my position. I'm an atheist. Of course, you don't believe in God. I understand there's no God there. But if God were to exist, it would be his responsibility in any case. So the fact that you exist and reject God has actually nothing to do with you. It's just that's the way it is. And whether God exists or not, there's no consequence. And there's no it's just the way it is. Yeah, I can see it. You only knew about Jordan Peterson now. Hunty, yes, absolutely.
could have created a different universe than the one that he created?
I have no idea.
Okay, so then there's going to be a double bind, right? So either he couldn't have done it, in which case he lacks a power, or he could have done it, in which case we don't have free will, because he chose this world instead of that world, making the events of this world instead of that world inevitable with his infallible knowledge.
I don't understand where you're headed.
It would just
I don't understand where you're headed. Okay. Sorry, I don't understand. Where you're headed. There we go. It just means that free will defense fails. He's just like, listen, your free will defense fails. Okay. Let's do that. I'm gonna have to put in the thing he doesn't understand. I don't understand where you're headed. He's like, well, no, that's not. We're at the destination. Okay, so what Peterson is saying is like, I don't know where you're going. He's like, no, we're there, Peterson. We're there, and there is. It's wrong. You're wrong. The determinism is, we don't have free will. Like all this. And under your view, if you want to have it fail, no problem. Okay.
means that the free will defense fails. Like all this, under
Like
your
I said,
view,
if
under
you want
your
to
view,
have it
free
fail,
will.
no problem. I don't know why it's relevant to the issue we're
Do you
discussing.
acknowledge?
So yeah, he wants it to fail. This failure, like for me, this failure doesn't do anything. But this is supposed to be a logical. This is a logical win, isn't it? But basically, there is a no. He's unknowable. This is the way that he has done it. It's the circular argument thing. Well, it just means that free will defense fails, like all this fails. If you want to have it fail, no problem. That's not a good argument for him. It's not a good way to put it. That's not even a real response. I would want him to put it in better words than I'm trying to put it in, where it's like we don't know. You're coming at it from a finite place. Don't know why it's relevant to the issue. No, you do know. It's not that it's irrelevant. It's not that it's irrelevant. You need to say why it's relevant and why you can dismiss it as a Christian. You've already made the choice to do it though, so that's going to be dissatisfactory. Okay. Do you acknowledge that under your view, free will doesn't exist? Okay. You could say, I acknowledge that you don't understand the duality of providence and omniscience. Oh, then do you want to respond? And actually, we both don't understand it, because I can't understand it, and neither can you. But you've decided to take your lack of understanding and say that means it doesn't exist. I've decided to say my lack of understanding means that I am finite and God is infinite. I've decided one way, you've decided another. No, you want to respond to the argument. Okay, so he won't concede that. But I don't know if, I just don't know if he's equipped for it. Do you want to respond to the argument? Okay, where are we at? You'll have to phrase it more clearly so that someone like me can understand it. Okay. Interesting way of putting it. Hey, Creamage.
Acknowledge that under your view, free will doesn't exist?
No,
Oh, then do you want to respond to the argument?
you'll have to phrase it more
Sure,
clearly
okay.
so that someone like me can understand it.
Yeah, gotcha. So God already knows in advance everything that's going to happen, which means that by making this world instead of that world, everything is inevitable, which means that God's act of causing this world instead of that
Inevitable
world,
doesn't mean determined.
it's causally inevitable if God chooses this world instead of that world.
Doesn't-
It's a conflation of causality. Yeah.
Make it determined.
Causally inevitable means determined.
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely, yes, it does.
No, you've decided that it is. You have decided. You've conflated them together because in physics that's what happens. That's how it is. Oh, well, it's determined. It's as if. Okay, I got you. So God already knows. I hope he doesn't. He's looking away. That's not a good idea. That knows in advance everything that's going to happen. Okay. Also, by the way, he makes it happen as well, so he can also stop things from happening. And yeah, so that's a whole thing that you've got to deal with as well. So go at it. Try. Okay. So God already knows in advance everything that's going to happen. Yeah, which means that making this world instead of that world, the world where he doesn't know. Making this world instead of that world. Let's put that all in the same because he's just repeating himself. Everything is inevitable. So he uses the words inevitable, which means that God. See, there has to be an idea of God already that you reject. Interesting. No, you use an if statement as an atheist. And the if is not, it doesn't work for you. Yeah. Okay. Instead of that world, everything is inevitable, which that means that God's act of causing this world instead of that world doesn't mean that world means determined. Okay. So doesn't mean determined. It's causally inevitable. It's causally inevitable. Means determined. Causally inevitable means determined. It's like, no, it does not. Okay. Oopsie. Oh, for fuck's sake. Copy stuff. No, it doesn't. Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. That's exactly what we're like. That's exactly where our disagreement comes from. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Well. Yes, it does. The heart of debate. Well, have it your way. Okay, so he's done it again. Okay.
Well, have it your way.
Okay.
That's not the case.
You've been voted out by the majority. Please return.
They voted him out because he tapped him out. It was like, let's tap out Peterson because Peterson we're not getting anywhere with this. Yes, it does. Have it your way. That is not a good showing. It is not a good showing. We've already taken points off for this well at have it your way. Okay, it's the way it is. Okay. Let's put the. Have it your way. Absolutely does. No, it doesn't. This is. Okay. Okay, we have got that's Ian done. Okay. Thank you, Ian. Very well done. Good showing. Okay. Peterson did not go into your conflating causality in that. He didn't. Now we're going to Liam. Yes, there you go. Yeah, Cafe, that's it. He is conflating determinism with inevitability. He's saying that it's God who's doing the things. God causes all of this stuff because he knows.
Jordan,
But he literally is. Sorry, Cafe. He literally does say it means this. Like he absolutely makes this conflation and says that that's the way it is. He's like, no, they're not. That's not a conflation. That's an equivalence. That's exactly what he's doing here when he goes like this. It's causally inevitable if God chooses his will instead of that world. Of that world determined. Causally inevitable means determined. And that's it. So he puts it all together and he's like, that's all it is. So, okay, so that was Ian. Okay, and now we're going to have Liam.
Sneeze.
Very zippy. What's your name?
I'm Liam.
Hi, Liam. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm
good.
surrounded by atheists.
My question to you, let me scoot in, would be, what does it mean to accept Christian values precisely?
Thank you. Can we go into that as well? Like, also want to see. That was the point. He got blasted on a different claim. Really, that's not the case. You've been voted on by a majority. Please return to your seat. Blah blah blah. Okay. How are you? Not too bad. Surrounded by atheists. My question to you is: let me scoot in. What does this mean to you? What does it mean to accept Christian values precisely, or Christian morality? That's a good question. I think a good way to deal with Peterson is ask him a question. Especially when he goes, "What do you mean?" Then you go in there. You go in. You start with, "What do you mean?" Bring the "What do you mean?" So I shall put that as a note. Opponent. I really hope Peterson doesn't say, "What do you mean?" Because you can't do that. It's your claim, bro. You can't be asking them what they mean. It's your claim. So, okay. It means to aim up as hard as you can, no matter what happens to you. Oh, come on. Stop being drunk on meaning, boy.
Or Christian morality?
It means to aim up as hard as you can, no matter what happens to you.
That is such a vague, ooh, flowery, let's sing a song kind of thing. Like, are you for real? What the fuck, indeed, Soranos. Good to see you. Like, really, how is this a thing? Like, drunk on meaning. Doesn't go practical. Makes it heavily broad. Heavily broad so that absolutely everyone it's like, so if you've made this broad, so just by the way, Atheist Gamer, if you want to improve yourself, it means to aim up, I guess. No, it means to improve yourself. So if you care about, if any atheist cares about self-improvement, somehow that means you accept Christianity. By the way, just so you know, that's it. So even though you don't have any of these other characteristics, you don't worship God, you don't actually even actively believe in God, you're somehow not an atheist anymore because you care about self-improvement. That's kind of what he's trying to do with these claims. It's fucking stupid because that's not how people work. He should know this. So sorry, Atheist Gamer, if you went to therapy, right? Didn't you? That's self-improvement. Christian, and also any other faith that wants you to aim up. That's somehow also Christianity. Come on, guys. Improving yourself is not Christianity. No, but the way that he said it, look at him. It means to aim up as hard as you can, no matter what happens to you. Okay, so I've got to aim up. I've always got to better myself, no matter what happens to me. Okay, that's self-improvement. Cool. But what he's trying to do is say that by itself is what it means to accept Christian morality. Like, there's a lot more. What do you mean by improve? Better than yesterday.
Okay.
What do you mean by better? Okay, so he says okay.
So I think that that's a very broad definition of what Christian
Yeah, but it'll
morality
come
is.
in handy.
Good, Liam. That's what anybody else would say. That is not the gotcha you think it is. Like, I understand you're trying to find the core meaning of what it means to believe in God and what God gives you, what message God gives you. But God is not going to be like, yeah, well, you were always trying to do better. Like, he literally says you have to believe in him. He literally says that. So, okay. It means to aim up as hard as you can, no matter what happens to you. What about, so you're aiming up all the time, no matter what happens to you, but what about humility, asking for God's mercy? That all of those are the kinds of things that are part of being Christian and taking on Christian learning. No, it's only about aiming up. So it's like strong, better, faster, stronger. Is this that's Christianity? He just decided to throw that out there. Okay, so I think that's a very broad definition of Christian. Yeah, absolutely. Like literally, it's in the word. Christ is in the word. You got to actually believe in the Gospels. All of it. Like, how does the atheist know what it's like to be like a Christian? Why am I being attacked on all fronts? You're not being attacked. I'm using you as an example, atheist. I'm using him like to show that bro is being ridiculous. You know, I'm not attacking you. I'm more like Christian gamer. Exactly. That's what you are. My psychologist thinks that Islamists are not insane because they have religion, which is a normal state of mind. Like, you can be insane. You can be so pious that you're all the way up your own ass and you're insane. That's, yeah. Nice thing is whatever we say, what isn't changing, not attacking, just sharing. Okay. Peterson found the Christian morality stone. So Christian morality can be whatever he wants it to be. Oh, thanks, Creamage. I didn't know that. Okay, guys. Sorry. Okay.
at some point in your life.
Right. But I think that many different like disciplines and theologies.
Well, you asked for a truncated answer.
Okay, hold up. You asked for a truncated answer. I don't know, man. That you can't do this though. He's like, oh no, you asked for a broad answer. No, he didn't. He said, just what do you mean? What does it mean to accept Christian values precisely? What you saw the word precisely and you were like, I need to do it in one sentence? No. I know that we have also gotten irritated with him in the past for going off on tangents and for taking his time to answer questions, but this is not a better state of affairs. Okay, so I think that that's a very broad definition of what Christian is. Okay, I'm just gonna put that there. Okay, what did he say? Yeah, it will come in handy at some point in your life, right? What the fuck is that, bro? What is this? What kind of answer is this? What? Yeah, but look how meaningful it is. And hopeful it is. Is that what you mean? I'm not reaching my Peterson limit. I'm not. I said I was gonna take it slow. Let's relax. Let's chill out. It's just Monday. I have a much shorter limit. You guys have been absolute champions. If the body is the temple of God, then worshipping God could be interpreted as maintaining one's health, staying away from drugs, exercising. This is one way you can aim upwards. But then you're a false idol. We can just play around with meaning. We can go, you're creating yourself as an idol. You're worshipping yourself and not God. Because you don't have enough humility around it. Okay. Okay, but I think that many different disciplines.
I mean, there's other ways of representing the situation, but I wanted to give you something that was kind of foundational briefly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. But I think that's many different disciplines and theologies, yeah. Well, you asked for a truncated answer. Sure. That's a cop-out. Foundational, briefly. Okay, fine, but that's for the purposes that's disingenuous. That's slippery. That's dodge. Definition dodge. Definition dodge. Rather go broad, so there's nothing to be called out on. It doesn't even move the conversation further. Yeah. Moves it downwards, not to the right. Okay, that makes sense. It doesn't mean it's, exhaustive. Yeah, it's clearly not. I could say that you would have to believe that Christ is God and he died for your sins, right? Please say that's okay.
It doesn't mean it's, exhaustive.
Yeah.
I could say that you would have to believe that Christ is
Okay, he said it himself. Good.
God and he died for your sins, right? But that's in a very difficult way to understand. That's the same claim.
Yeah.
What? In a very difficult way to understand, that's the same claim. Okay, yes, because you're drunk on meaning, because you're doing the meaning thing. Because believing that Christ is God and that he died for your sins is the same as aiming up as hard as you can no matter what happens to you. That they are equivalent. So it's like they are the same. It's just more difficult to understand it. Okay. True, but you're wasting time by doing that, because the whole point that people are talking to you about is to get to the nitty-gritty. They're not going to get you to they don't want to talk about the core of it. They're talking about the practicalities and the differences and the little specifications that are within your claim. But okay, you've made your claim broad enough, I suppose. I could say Carson who died for our sins. But next block. But that's in a very difficult way to understand. That's the same claim. Okay. So by the way, that's the same claim. Believing in Christ is the same as as that. That's what it is. It's all the same. Okay. Guys, don't be dicks in the chat. Yeah, if there are other theologies and disciplines, yeah. They have similar types of values. Okay, what are we on?
Yeah. If there are other
You see how they haven't gotten anywhere. So he has to go back here. He actually has to go, you know what? Fine. Let's go over here. We've abandoned this way of trying to go. We've gotten down a dead end there. So what can I do here? Okay. If there are other, okay, so if there are other theologies and disciplines, okay, that have similar types of values, how then is that definition? What? How then is that definition mean?
Theologies and disciplines that have similar types of values.
Yeah.
How then is that definition mean? Like, wouldn't those also be Christian values under your definition?
Okay, that's a good. Wait, like, wouldn't those also be Christian values under your definition? I'm not going to do the how be. Wouldn't those also be? So there are other theologies and disciplines with similar types of values. Would those also be Christian values under your definition? He did say, sorry, I do need to, how then is that definition mean? I am going to put that in there because he literally, he tried to make a question out of it and it didn't work. He reworded the question. Okay, and he goes, okay, would those be Christian values under your definition? Okay, because I don't. Hey, Lord Shadow. Just a pull in to drive, greeting and moving on, but have a wonderful night, everyone. Thank you, Lord Shadow. Thank you for the hi and bye.
That's a good question. I spent a lot of time studying different religious systems from all over the world and found multiple interesting layers of concordance. Right. So, for example, in ancient Egypt, their god Horus, who was...
Okay, hold up. We're good. Wouldn't also be values, That's a good question. I spent a lot of time studying different religious systems from all over the world and found multiple of concordance. Cool. So this is his... Okay, he's obviously going to find a reason or not a reason. I don't know, because we don't know what he believes. He's going to say, well, there was concordance. usually here a Christian goes, they find concordance, but they find more in Christ. So there's more. But I don't know what he says. So, for example, in ancient Egypt, they god Horus. So this is an example. God Horus, who was the reviving god of totalitarian state, the corrupt. He was god. Loves the totalitarian. He loves to say the word totalitarian, doesn't he? Attention, right? And the Jews hypothetically came out of Egypt. There was crosstalk between. Okay, let him finish.
The reviving god of the totalitarian state, the corrupt he was the god of attention. Right, and the Jews hypothetically came.
I think that all of the books.
Jordan, nice to meet you.
Very zippy. What's the name? State, the corrupt. He was the god of attention.
We are on 1018. Okay. God of totalitarian state. Okay. States. Okay. He was the god of attention. Okay. What's next? We got this. And the Jews hypothetically came out of Egypt. Okay. What else? There was crosstalk between Egyptian and Jewish foundational morality and then bled into Christianity. Okay. So it seems like he would be of the opinion that the Bible is very influenced by humans. Okay.
Right, and the Jews hypothetically came.
I still think the run for the chair thing is cringe. Absolutely. It is horrible. I don't know if I could see myself doing it. It's just like, oh, me. I want to talk to him. I don't know.
Out of Egypt, and there was crosstalk between Egyptian and Jewish foundational morality, and then that bled into Christianity. I mean, human beings all over the world have come up with moral systems that fit roughly into a pattern, and they're very usefully studied.
Okay, so they've all come up with the moral systems that fit roughly into a pattern, and they're very usefully studied. Okay, so cool. This is extra. We're still not getting to an actual answer. Okay, I learned a lot about Christianity by studying Taoism, for example, like a lot. So I think it can make a case. You can make a case that Christianity formalized. Okay, so this is the summary. So, for instance, Christianity formalized the landscape of good and evil more comprehensively and in more detail than any other religious system. Okay, so they got the most. They did the most research, guys. They extensively wrote shit.
I learned a lot about Christianity by studying Taoism, for example, a lot. So I think you can make a case that Christianity formalized the landscape of good and evil more comprehensively and in more detail than any other religious system. And I think that that's part of the reason that it defeated paganism and spread so broadly across the West and is still dominant, still understructures our culture, for example.
The way you feel about Horus or Taoism or something is how I feel about Christian morals, I think.
But they developed. Yeah. This is a great way to think. This is how he's just sharing the way he thinks about it. He's not saying, well, you're an arsehole and you believe things differently. He's like, well, let me use your frame of reference. Well, the way that you do this thing, this is how I see it. And that for me is better than normal debate, is actually just, well, what's it like for you? What's it like for me? Because we already know we differ on these things, right? You can ask me, what about this? And expect me to change my mind because that doesn't make logical sense with you. You're like, hello, that should change your mind. No. So the way you feel about Horus is something I feel about Christian morals, I think. Enjoy this method. No need to be aggressive. Just showing he stands compared to where Peterson stands. I think that's where I'm at with debates. Certain, I don't know, less spiritual debates, I suppose. when it comes to logic and things, maybe there can be swaying, whatever. No, I think even if you're on your way to having your mind changed, this is how it happens, is by just being exposed to different ways of thinking. But you don't go one day and just sit in a debate and be like, whoa, holy shit. Actually, I want to ask that to the chat and leave it for the whole thing. Has a debate ever changed your mind? Yes, no. On something. Okay. He told me he was a snowman. Doesn't know shit about Taoism. If you've said yes, please let me know what debate it was.
Yeah, but how do I feel about them?
Well, that you.
Oh yeah, but how do I feel about it? Okay. You tell me how I feel about it. Okay, no, I understand him asking how do I feel about it, because like, okay, well, if you're giving us equivalence, I need to understand what you think is equivalent. Okay. How do I feel about them? A legitimate question. Well, that you took inspiration from them, you learned from them. Okay? Took inspiration, that doesn't mean that you're... So he's gonna... he's gonna take this and be like, yeah, that's the fact that you reject God, but you actually... That's my claim. It's gonna be like, that's your claim, you see? You learned from them, but you reject God. You reject the stories. I think it's much of a muchness. Okay, let's check.
You took inspiration from them, you learned from them. Maybe
That's a good start,
Right.
you know, because I would say that actually constitutes belief.
No, yeah, it constitutes belief for you, son. It does for you. But again, he's taking away atheist gamers, and it's only because it says it in your name. Other atheists in chat, please identify yourself so I can use you as an example as well. And it makes them no longer, they can't decide that they're atheists. You can't self-ID as an atheist because he's already shown you that you cannot but be Christian. That's it. Just sorry. It was in a debate about Christianity, and the guy said it was about blind faith. I couldn't argue with that. You couldn't argue with that. You couldn't argue with it. But I'm saying, like, did it change your opinion? So you were like, oh, I'm supposed to have blind faith. That's not my thing. So that changed your mind. Is Jordan consistent with his own definition of belief from earlier with Danny right now? Okay, let's check. Belief. What did he say earlier with belief? Wasn't belief? Let's just check here. It's found. Is submission some sort of belief, and the fundamental is action rather than the core? Oh no. Let's just go to Danny. Danny is he in here? It's in claim 3. Danny. Worship. This was worship, not belief. Clear about your definition of worship. He's talking about worship when Danny was talking about it. He's talking about attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice. That's not belief. He's talking about worship. But belief in God should involve worship. That's how it should be. But he doesn't bring in worship at this point. Okay. Took inspiration from them, then you learned from them. Cool. That's a good start, he's decided. Maybe that's a good start, because I would say that actually constitutes belief. it's not belief in God. It's belief in lessons. It's belief in those morals, the moral of the story, the moral of the story. But it's not the same. That's not the same as belief in God. Doesn't make. It doesn't make an atheist suddenly a Christian. That's not how that works. So I don't understand. Like saying, hey, atheist, hey, atheist person, you believe in something. Gotcha. Like, no, but I don't believe in God. That's what makes me an atheist. You know, like you said, well, look, right. Okay. No, he's going to go into another Bible story.
You know, like you said, well, look.
Right.
In Noah, in the story of Noah, right? Noah.
In the story of Noah. Noah is inspired by the apprehension that all hell is going to break loose. He loves saying hell, doesn't he? Okay, so he's inspired. What do you mean by inspired there?
Noah is inspired by the apprehension that all hell is going to break loose. Okay,
Yeah.
he regards that inspiration.
He regards that inspiration. Okay. He regards that inspiration as God. Okay. Sorry. Let's take that. That's a separate block. He has a sense of dread, so he's like, "That's God telling me that there's a sense that there's something wrong here." Okay. Okay, right. And when God comes to Abraham, he comes to Abraham as a spirit of adventure. Adventure, Charlie! When God comes, he's the spirit of adventure.
As God.
Okay.
Right, and when God comes to Abraham, he comes to Abraham as the spirit of adventure. It's inspiration. One of the definitions of God in the
Okay, it's inspiration. Daisy, get a bird. Get a bird, Daisy. There's a bird outside the window. Okay, one of the definitions of God in the Old Testament, unsurprisingly. Okay. Adventure or inspiration, not the same thing. He's saying that the spirit of adventure was inspiration. Okay, so unsurprisingly, given the derivation of the word, oh mamma mia, is inspiration. So God is inspiration. Okay. And so if you take inspiration from Christian ideas, then insofar as you do that, you are in fact a believer. Which was my point with regards to atheists not understanding. Wow. Okay. So yeah, he's literally taken his definition and smeared it all over and gone, you see, you believe. And that is not a good argument for me. We've done this. You were hoping you would have, well, maybe they were like, no, sorry, it's too distracting. Please don't wear your heaven and hell on. I think Peterson actually butchers Christianity more than prosperity gospel preachers or Mormons. Yeah, this is it's pretty bad showing, as I've said.
Old Testament, unsurprisingly, given the derivation of the word, is inspiration.
Can you imagine going to God yourself and doing this and saying like I was inspired by you? Like, so you're an atheist for your whole life, and then you're like, but I was inspired by you, and you're at the gates, and God's like, oh no, you know what, you didn't believe, and so that's it. We're not you and I, we're not a thing. So bye. And you're like, but I was inspired by you. Come on, man. I was inspired. Jordan Peterson said I was inspired by you. Why am I? That was my belief. That was good enough. Come on, just let me in. It's cool. Just you love me, right? I know you love me, so let me in. That's how it will go. Oh yeah, let's go in here. I'm just saying that blind faith is admirable because that is full trust in what you believe. I don't have it, but I respect it. That's really great that you respect it. It can be very easily seen as, bro, you're just fucking delusional. So you can very easily be disparaging to someone who has blind faith. Because you're focusing on this blind thing. You're doing the blind thing. Look at you, you fool. So I'm very happy that you can respect it at least. Okay. We know what we're doing. We know what we're doing. That at least I think it would be good for Christians to know that that's what they're doing. That they're not doing something logical. That they are, at the end of the day, believing in something. Okay. But you have taken inspiration from Taoism or from studying Egyptian mythology. So he's going to say, hey, are you an impure Christian? But he's not a Christian, so it doesn't really matter, right?
And so if you take inspiration from Christian ideas, then insofar as you do that, you are in fact a believer, which was my point with regards to atheists.
Correct.
Not understanding.
But have
what
you
they're
taken
rejecting.
inspiration from Taoism or from...
Liam, you're such a sweetie pie. It's cool. But fine, cool. I understand that. But and he's also not doing it like Danny with the well. Do you take any inspiration from me? I'm sure he'll have some attitude behind the scenes, but the way he's talking to him, that's how it goes. You got hit with ads. I'm so sorry. YouTube Premium is apparently going to start putting ads on, and I'm not ready for that, boys. I've had YouTube Premium for years now. I'm not used to ads. I've been paying my subscriptions, and also, hello, memberships should make for ad-free viewing. That's what it was like on Twitch previously. I don't know what it's like now, but on Twitch, if you were a paid subscriber, you don't get ads for that channel. I think that's a pretty good deal. So even if you don't have YouTube Premium, you're a member, so you should at least not get ads for that. Whatever, I'm not YouTube. Taking inspiration from Taoism. That's how Taoism is spelled. So Premium is doing ads, then why am I paying? Well, you'll see. When it's it's rumors, okay? That's what I'm hearing. That there's going to be a different tiers, they're splitting it up a little bit. So you get ads. Oh, sorry, Master. It's only in shorts. So if you watch ads if you watch shorts, then you're going to get ads in there. It's only in there. I remember that. Sorry, scared you. But yeah, this is how it starts, okay? This is how it starts. I mean, Twitter is you can go completely ad-free. I'm already paying to stream here, which again, I'm not really wondering. I'm wondering what's the point of streaming on X at this point. You're already paying to stream there, and I'm supposed to get fewer ads, but whoa, the ads are horrible. They're worse than they've ever been. Anyway, but you have been taking inspiration from Taoism, from studying Egyptian mythology. What is the answer?
Studying Egyptian mythology.
Definitely.
So then you believe them under that definition?
Yes, please say yes. Okay, you can't say no. You cannot say no here. Be consistent in what you're talking about. Come on. Definitely, he says. Oh, fuck's sake. Please, how are you gonna turn this one? I'm ready to take points off if he doesn't concede this. Conceding it will not lose you points. Fighting it will. Okay? Definitely. So then you believe them under that definition. Yes, under that definition. Because now he's like, it's brilliant. And he's not doing it with an attitude. I swear to God, if this bro gets angry.
Yeah, but I've incorporated them into something I think that's more comprehensive.
Yeah. Okay, he did say yeah, guys. We got him. But I've incorporated them into something more comprehensive. No, you know what? It's not very comprehensive at all. It's incomprehensible. You don't share it with us much, even though you write books. Okay, yeah, but incorporated them up. So he did say yeah. He did say yeah. But the caveat, but the addition. It not matter. To mean it doesn't matter. Matter.
Is it possible to take inspiration and to appreciate the teachings without being a believer in their truth claims?
Yes. Oh, why are people putting up their flags? Oh, he's being too nice. He's asking too many questions. Just expose the man. He doesn't. You're. Okay, so he's got his own one. He's like, is it possible? He's just asking all of it to take inspiration and to appreciate the teachings without being a believer in the truth claims. I think it is. I think that is what people do. And it depends. Oh God, fuck's sake. Sorry.
It depends. No, I don't think so, but I think
it depends. No, I don't think so. Oh, thank God you said no. No, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Oh. Not a good look. Not a good look. Okay. But I think you see, there are different kinds of truth claims, right? Okay. He's got you. I think I need to do this. He's got you. Is it possible? He says, I don't think so. Is it possible to take inspiration to appreciate the teachings without being a believer in their truth claims? I don't think so. So he has conceded. He just put it the other way. Then you believe them under that definition. Okay. Is it possible to take inspiration and not be a believer? No, I don't think so. But then he's going to try and get all nuanced with it and be like, there are different levels, kinds of truth claims. So it's just different levels. So then if he brings that in, why can't the atheists bring in different kinds of truth claims? Why can't the atheists be like, yeah, I don't take those truth claims as absolute fact that this guy died and rose again and things like that. But I do understand that you should probably love your neighbor like you love yourself. That would lead to a good thing. That I've decided I like that story. Like, that's it. They're not believing. What do you mean by there are different kinds of truth claims? There's different levels of belief? Well, in your definition, that's required. I think people mistake Jordan Peterson for some Christian scholar rather than someone who's perhaps on an autodidact in comparative religion. The latter seems to make much more sense. I think I have mistaken him for really. I mean, because I know how much time he's put into it. I'm like, yeah, he should know a lot. He knows a lot more than me. But then just me on my basic journey, I can see points in him that are like, it's a little bit of that. There's a little bit missing there. But I think it is because he writes his books.
You see, there are different kinds of truth claims, right? There's propositional truth claims, which are the truth claims of what you say.
Okay, there's propositional truth claims, which are the truth claims of what you say. Okay, cool. I hope you bring this back to the context in which he brought it up, right? Because you're saying, cool, there's truth claims. Okay, propositional. Okay, and then there's what? Then there's embodied truth claims. Cool. So, which is the truth claims that what you do, of what you do. Okay. So, do you pray? That's what I would think. Okay. So, now you're getting all nuanced. Now you're deciding to get nuanced about what belief means. Okay, well, fine. Then the atheist goes, well, this is the kind of belief I am in, and this is the kind of belief you're in. They are not the same thing. I'm still an atheist. That should be prioritized optimally. Okay.
And then there's embodied truth claims, which is the truth claims of what you do. That should be prioritized. Optimally, what you say and what you do would be brought into harmony.
Okay, sorry. That should be prioritized. This was just the transcript doing things. Optimally. Optimally, what you say and what you do would be brought into harmony. Okay. Which is quite interesting coming from Peterson. It's like you're saying one thing and then you're not saying some stuff, you're doing other stuff. If you treat Jordan Peterson as a perennialist, then suddenly his rhetoric isn't so vague anymore. If you view Peterson's rhetoric through the lens of perennial philosophy, then, well, I will need to do that. I've starred your message in order to do that. Then his position ceases to be enigmatic.
But I would say if you had to prioritize, it should be what you attend to and what you act first.
Mm-hmm. But I would say that if you, had to prioritize, it should be what you attend to and what you act first. That's what you would say. Okay, cool. Okay, whoopsie. Okay. And that's what Christ actually says in the gospel, because he points to Pharisees, for example, who say all the right things but don't do any of the right things. Points out very clearly that that is not acceptable. Okay. I'll put that as an add-on because he's responding to that. Cool. Gives us a citation. I just don't know. I don't know that Christian morality, those principles originate in Christianity, because you brought up other things that predate Christianity. Okay.
And that's what Christ actually says in the Gospels, because he points to the Pharisees, for example, who say all the right things, but don't do any of the right things, and points out very clearly that that's not acceptable.
I don't know that the Christian morality, those principles originate in Christianity.
Okay, there you go. Good. That's a good angle to go for. It's like, well, fine. You're saying they're clarified and they became solidified in Christianity, but I don't know. Great way of saying it. Instead of, hey, you fuck, you don't know. Going, it's just a good way to approach it. I don't know. And it's also just the tone of it that he says it. He says he doesn't know is not that. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe he's a bit more subtle with his sarcasm than I can detect. So he goes, okay, it's inspiration, whatever this. I mean, it's even here. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know that Christian morality, those principles originate in Christianity, because you brought up other things that predate Christianity. Okay? That you can very closely tie connections to. Yeah. Okay? Some things that predate Christianity that you can very closely tie connections to. Cool. Okay. Does he have a response, or do we get more? I don't think they do originate.
Because you brought up other things that predate Christianity that you can very closely tie connections to.
Well, I don't think they do originate precisely. I mean,
Right.
Okay, precisely. Okay. What do you mean then? Well, I don't think they do originate precisely. I mean, I don't think Christian claims is exactly what they originate. What? Hold on. What are you saying? First of all, stop messing about with your fingers and do what you're supposed to do. Okay.
I don't think the Christian claim is exactly that they originate Christianity.
So if I'm
right?
living those values,
I don't think the Christian claim is that they originate Christianity. What even is that claim? I don't think they do originate precisely. I don't think, first of all, that, and then he's got, I don't think that Christian claim is exactly that they originate Christianity. What is the Christian claim then? You're with me, Serenus. Like, what are you talking about? What is the claim? I came to check the oil lamps and make sure that you haven't missed too many equinoxes. Thank you so much for your concern, Duck. We can put him into negatives, right? I don't know. Christianity.
how is it that I'm living the Christian values and maybe not?
They've got ideas of, yeah, I think maybe maybe that's it. I'm gonna put that as the answer there. I don't know. Say Wade. Let me just get let me copy paste your name. I guess that's it, but yeah. Okay. Or Abraham, yeah. Okay. Old Testament isn't Christianity to begin with. Yeah, I guess that's the whole idea. I guess that's what he means, but that's not the question this guy is asking. This guy is asking you that there were things. He was saying that there are things that you've taken, like Taoism and things like that. Those bits of morality that do seem to line up with things in Christianity. What about them? Do you believe in them? I just don't know. I don't know that Christian morality, those principles originate in Christianity because you brought up other things, okay? Where they don't originate from, okay? Then
The Egyptian values or something.
Okay, the claim. So if I'm living those values, how is it that I'm living the Christian values and maybe not the Egyptian values or something else there? Okay. Good question to go for. Don't say just good question and don't answer the fucking question. I'll be very angry. Okay. That was good. That was good. He said that was good. He won. What?
Else
Well, one
that
of
Pause there. You've been voted out by
that was good. That was good. Yeah.
he got voted out. But I don't know. He said that was good. I feel like I have to take a point off Peterson for this. I think it's over here. I don't think so. Actual HP loss. Okay, I'm going to put in here because he was made to see that his definition is way too broad. I think he said that was good because he liked the content of the discussion. Yeah, that's true. But over here, though, this is a this is definitely a loss, a real one, because he was made to know how broad his definition is. That's what I think. Let's get this up here. You got one more left, Peterson. Notice it's not an optical loss because he didn't lose his shit. Okay. Okay. Okay, next person we have got Kumari. Okay, next.
Hi.
Hello there. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
I'm Kumari. So I was curious about this like Christian morality that you're talking about.
Okay, Christian morality that you're talking about. A lot of my issues with Christianity have to do with the base morality. Okay. A lot of my issues of Christianity have to do with the base morality of it, okay? Yeah, let's put this in here. Okay, and then specifically with the idea of like the rapture and how we see people that aren't going to come up with us with the rapture and the concept of heaven and hell. Yeah, so it's like, how can God leave these people behind? That's wrong. Okay.
A lot of my issues with Christianity have to do with the base morality of it, specifically with like the idea of like the rapture and how we see people that aren't going to come up with us with the rapture and that concept of heaven and hell. I don't really agree with that morality, but if you could explain that to me and how I do agree with that, I would love to like hear.
Well,
okay, so he's putting it on her, she's putting it on him to explain how she rejects that. This is something of the morality that she rejects, right? Concept of heaven and hell. I don't agree with that morality, but if you could explain to me how I do agree with that, I would love to hear. Okay, so he's presumably going to go like, do you believe in justice or something? Okay, so, but he has put it on him, she has put it on him to, Peterson now has to show this one rejected piece of morality is still part of her morality. Okay, he might go to justice. That's where I think he would go. Be like, well, you believe in justice, right? You believe in And the fact that you believe in justice means you're a Christian. That's where I think you would go, but let's see.
Well, I can't explain the rapture to you because that isn't something I concern myself with. And that
Okay, the rapture. Okay, so he's just declining. I can't explain the rapture to you because that isn't something I concern myself with. Okay, but... Okay. Okay, something I concern myself with. So, well, how do you deal with it? You study the Bible deeply. So how do you deal with it? That's part of the Bible. And that's more of a sectarian belief than central to Christianity. Okay, so he's removing it from Christianity. So he's saying it's not a Christian thing. That's it. You can't explain it, but also and it's more of a sect. So he's saying it's not a Christian belief, so it doesn't count. Her rejection doesn't count. Because it's not a central Christian belief, according to him. It's not a problem that she rejects it. I'm filling in. I know I'm filling in the argument. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. He's saying. JP opts out. No more SMSs for me, please.
that's more of a sectarian belief than something that's central to Christianity. Now, there's all sorts of evangelical Protestants who might disagree with that, but that doesn't have anything to do with me.
Okay.
You asked a deeper question.
So his brand of Christianity, guys. Sorry, I need to stand. So his brand of Christianity. His brand of Christianity is different to that. So he doesn't have to defend it. That's pretty cool. So it's a good strategy. It's not my Christianity. Speak to somebody else about it. Okay. Yeah. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, watch. Pick up that I'm moving. Okay, I will stand. Oh, you know what? As a joke, sorry guys. As a joke, you can hear a new song from Creamage. It might be louder than everything else, but here you go.
It's pronounced migraine, motherfucker, not migraine. What the fuck is a migraine? Please, for the love of fuck, speak proper, like Jesus fucking Christ. What the fuck is a migraine? It's pronounced migraine, and please, for the love of fuck, speak proper. It's pronounced.
You like it? Okay. We're back. It still didn't pick up that I moved enough, but I tried. Okay, so the sectarian belief, there's all sorts of evangelical Protestants who might disagree with that. It doesn't have anything to do with me. Okay, so his Christianity ain't that. Not that he has Christianity. Okay. You asked a deeper question with regard to, let's say, heaven and hell and judgment. Yes. Okay, so he's like, I can't deal with the rapture. Okay, but here you go. I can deal with justice, man. Judgment and justice. Let's do that.
With regard to, let's say, heaven and hell and judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a tough one, right? I mean, sin, you could put it this way, sin is what puts you in hell, right? And so
sin is what puts you in hell, right? Makes you live hell on earth, and makes you put hell on earth, but not believing is what puts you in hell. Not believing in God is what puts you in hell. When you get to that part of the Bible, maybe he hasn't gotten to it yet. I haven't, but I've seen it. several times in the Gospels. Sin is what puts you in hell, right? Yes. And so then you might ask, how do you know you're in hell? I think this is the wrong sin is what separates you from God. But we've got original sin. We've already been separated from God. Jesus brings you back to God. Jesus is what redeems you, because you are beyond redemption through your own behavior. Jesus is what brings you back to God, right? So because of your sin, you could have everything, do everything perfectly, but you are still sinful. There is nothing that you do that makes you, no act that you do that makes you worthy of salvation. It's Jesus who makes you worthy of salvation, as in he makes you, he saves you. Sin is what puts you in hell, right? Okay, so I think now you're just going to talk about hell. You're not going to talk about. Is he going to just play around with the definition of hell? Looks. I think he'll just play around with the definition of hell and be like, look, she has a concept of hell. She has a concept of hell. Concept of hell. Therefore, she accepts Christian beliefs, Christian moralities. Like, I think that's where he's going with it, but who knows? Yikes, Kitty, I'm not that bad. You are! You're as bad. You were definitely not raised Catholic then, because you're supposed to know you're very bad. Okay. How do you know? Okay, well, you would you would ask. And so you might ask. This is like this is coming straight out of his book or something. So it's like, no, we're having a conversation here. Don't know, well. Oh, jeez. Okay, so he's saying if you try to get out of hell, that's you believing in Christianity.
Then you might ask, well, how do you know you're in hell? How about you do anything to get out of it?
Can I ask
How
you a
about
question?
you know that you put yourself there?
Do you think
How about you know that you put yourself there? Ha! Listen to his ha. Ha! How do you do? Listen to his ha.
You're in hell, right? And so then you might ask, well, how do you know you're in hell?
Ha!
How about you do anything to get out of it?
Why is it? This is weird. You're just rambling. You're being a rambling old man. Can I ask you? No, you can't ask fuck all. How you know you put yourself there? How about you know that you put yourself there? What are you talking about? What are you on about? Do you think sin is like part of Christian morality? There we go. She got a question in.
Can I ask you
How
a
about
question?
you know that you put yourself there?
Do you think is sin like a part of Christian morality?
Okay. Yeah, like fuck you. I don't give a shit what you're talking about. I'll ask my own questions over here. Okay. Well done going on your own tangent there. Great stuff, old man. You're being very old man-ish. Do you think sin is like part of Christian morality? What do you mean exactly? Oh, you're gonna have to use more words when you speak to him.
What do you mean exactly? Sin as
Like
a part.
the
It's
concept
missing the
of sin?
Kate,
Yeah.
it's derived from an archery term, and it means to miss the target.
Okay. What do you mean exactly? Sin is part of... It's derived. So he's like, what do you mean exactly? Sin is as part of. That's what she says. That's as far as she gets to. He goes, what do you mean exactly? Oh, also, by the way, I'll start talking about stuff. She's like, sin is part of. Sin is part of, okay. And then he's like, hey, you know what? I got some other things to say. I'll do it over. Yeah, okay, it's derived from an archery term. It means to miss the target, right? And so it presumes there's such a thing as a center or target and that you can miss it in many ways. Cool. It's to be off target. Right, so God gave us the blueprint of how to be, and we're off target. And the consequence of that will be your life will be ridden with anxiety. Okay. Your life will be pointless. People will turn against you. Don't believe in sin at all. Okay.
Right, and so it presumes that there's such a thing as a central target and that you can miss it in many ways. And the consequence of that will be your life will be ridden with anxiety, your life will be pointless,
And what
people
if
will
I,
turn
like,
against you.
don't believe in sin at all?
What if I don't believe in sin at all? What if I don't believe in sin at all? Don't believe. What if I don't believe in sin? No, he's going to say, oh, you don't believe in error? It's like, no. I don't believe that I'm going to be punished or whatever. That's what she means by I don't believe in sin. So we're just going to play the fun games with words, yeah. Believe in sin at all. Well, do you believe in error? Have you made any mistakes? Okay. That's not what she means by not believing in sin. I don't think that she means that she doesn't know that there is error and mistake. She just means there is no heaven and hell. That's where she's at.
Do you believe in error? Have
I
you
don't.
made any mistakes?
What if I believe that the mistakes that you make, that they're fixable, and so that no sin is finite, and that the
Well,
idea
that's a Christian belief.
of
Oh, fuck, you took it, eh? Sorry. What if I believe that the mistakes that you make are fixable and so that no sin is finite? Is finite? You mean infinite? And that the idea that as a Christian... Okay. She didn't finish, but you've decided that it's a Christian thing. Okay? What if I believe that the mistakes that you make fixable and there is no sin is finite, I suppose. Oh. That's a Christian belief. Oh, and the idea of hell he's interrupting her. So he's like, whoa, you got a Christian belief. I pointed out, I found it. I got that Christian belief. That's a Christian belief.
the idea of hell. I don't believe
No,
in
it's
it.
also a
because
Christian belief, by the way.
Okay, fine. That's also a Christian belief. She doesn't believe in hell, though. A Christian belief is hell. What?
Christian belief is hell?
No, that there's no sin that, well, there's one. The sin against the Holy Ghost is unforgivable, but that's really the sin against the process that would enable you to learn.
Okay. But is
Okay. What if I believe the mistakes that you make? So she's like, that's a Christian belief. You know what's a Christian belief? A Christian belief is hell. No, there is no sin that... The sin against the Holy Ghost is unforgivable, but that's really the sin against the process that would enable you to learn. Okay, cool. He's drunk on meaning again. But is there a Christian belief that hell does exist? Thank you. Could you bring him back down to earth, bro? Sober up before you come here. Come on. It gets very airy-fairy, and I understand that's for you. That's for you, and when you're professing, okay? But right now, interact with the other person. Really sin against the process that would enable you to learn. So it's a sin against the process because you ate of the fruit, you ate of the tree, and now you didn't learn. She's trying to ask you a fucking question.
There's a Christian belief that hell does exist, and if I commit sin, I'm going to go there, correct?
Please, yeah, there she goes. She's losing her patience. There's a Christian belief that hell does exist, and if I commit sin, I'm going there, correct? Please, this. Fine. Here's the question, okay? I'll try and get you to stick to normality like a human being that is having a conversation. Fine. There's this, right? Cool. Yes. Okay. So she goes, cool. Great. What if I don't believe in that? Go girl. She's trying to get herself get what she's trying to say out. She's like, fine, this is not working. See how many times people have to go back with Peterson because they speak to him and then he goes and like goes and puts like all the drunken meaning in. And cool, we can go and we can find meaning in it. I love that stuff. But here in the conversation, that is not. It's not working. It's not helping anyone. Okay. I think that when you can explain a little bit. Okay.
Yes.
So what if I don't believe in that? Like I think
Well, okay, let me
that when you
okay,
can I
that's
explain
good.
a little bit?
Sure, sure.
Can I
That's a mistake. That's a mistake. Christianity formalized.
Originate in Christianity.
Rapture and that concept of heaven.
That doesn't have anything to do with me. It's a central target. The Holy Ghost is unforgivable, but that's really the sin against the process that would enable you to learn.
Okay. But there's a Christian belief that hell does exist, and if I commit sin, I'm going to go there, correct?
Yes.
So what if I don't believe in that? Like I think
Well, okay, let me
that
a-
when you
She's trying to say, like, I think, can I please explain?
Okay,
can I
that's
explain
good.
a little bit?
Sure, sure.
Okay, thank you. I think that when you commit sin, that it's because of a lot of environmental factors in your life, like where you were born and who
It's everyone else's problem. When you commit sin, it's because of the government. Okay, so I think that when you commit sin, that it's because of a lot of environmental factors in your life, where you were born and who you were raised by, and so there are certain things. You know what? It's not my fault that I sin, man. But I don't think that's what she's saying. I'm being disingenuous. Okay. She doesn't believe in that. She goes on to explain it because bro actually fucking shuts up for her to actually say it. Certain things that lead you down a dangerous path, and once you are dead, I think you're kind of removed of that person. There's no. Okay. You're removed of that person. Okay. So you're separated from who you were when you were alive. Okay. So she's got a different belief. There are no factors of the earth, what happens after death. Okay, so she's saying like, what you do on earth doesn't matter, doesn't change what happens after earth. After death, I think. Let's hear her say it.
you were raised by, and so there are certain things that lead you down a dangerous path, and once you are dead, I think you're kind of removed of that person. There's no like there are no factors of the earth that have to
what happens after death.
Oh, there are no factors of the earth. So he's like, I can't say. Can you just let her fucking finish?
Right.
So I would ask you, in these times,
There's no factors of the earth. That's all I understood here. And he goes, oh, I don't know what happens. I would. What? Did he say he doesn't know?
so I would ask you, in these
lead you down a dangerous path, and once you are dead, I think you're kind of removed of that person. There's no like there are no factors of the earth that have to
what happens after death.
right.
I can't say anything about what happens after death. Okay, but she's saying something. She's saying this is what she believes after death. So she could be right. If you say you can't say anything, okay? I can't say anything about what happens after death. Okay. Well, there are things. There is literally in Christianity there is literally speak of that. There's talking of the afterlife. There's a whole thing, okay, in that you have eternal life with God. Maybe we don't know the characteristics of it or whatever, but it's called eternal life. That there is that, okay. There's eternal life after death. That is a thing, eternal life, if you believe. I can't say anything about what happens after death. Okay, you can't.
So I would ask you, in these times that you've suffered terribly in ways that you thought would never end, do you believe that you had any causal role in that?
Okay, so whatever, he's just gonna go and have a talk. I would ask you, these times you've suffered terrible ways. Excuse me. Never end. Believe that you had a causal role in that. So did you cause any of this, or was it just the circumstances of your death? I mean, your birth and life. Like, did you play a part in that? She's now gonna enjoy this because she's like, oh, did I play a part in my own suffering?
Like, did you play a part in that?
In my own suffering?
Yeah.
That's his question.
Maybe sometimes I would say that there was a part that I played in
that's,
that.
okay.
Yeah, sometimes you are permanent, you are literally a victim, but other times you are part of it. I think sometimes is a perfectly good, reasonable answer. You can't say always. Come on, man. It's like, no, but well, then it's your fault you're alive. Okay, that's the
thing to find out.
I think
that's the thing to find out. That seems fragment. Okay, he says this. Guys, cool. That's the thing to find out. Like, oh, what do you mean? You're going to need to give me more than that. The thing to find out. Okay. Find out whether you did it. So the thing is to find out whether you are to blame.
that maybe it's like a concept of free will that I don't really believe, and somewhat of free will that I.
What? Chico, everyone's flag's going up now. I think maybe it's like a concept of free will that I don't really believe in somewhat of free will. Okay. So she's like, no. Yep, I think external locus of control is just where it is. Where it's at, boys. I think that maybe it's like a concept of free will that I don't really believe in. Like, I don't have control. You really don't have control over anything but yourself and the way that you react to things. And that means the stimuli that you come across, you're a slave to them somehow. That I think that there are certain things in your life that lead to certain behaviors. So, okay, your trauma is gonna make you think in a certain way and all of that. Cool, I'm with you with that. And so when you commit those sins, you go to hell. He says that, I suppose.
I think that there are certain things in your life that lead you to do certain behaviors, and so when you commit those sins, you go to hell. I'm not too sure why you would still be.
When you
that is a cut of notes. Did you hear that? I didn't cut it, guys.
So I would ask you, in these times that you've suffered terribly in ways that you thought would never end, do you believe that you had any causal role in that? Like, did you play a part in that?
In my own suffering?
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes I would say that there was a part that I played in that.
Okay,
but I
that's
also
the thing
do
to
think
find
that,
out.
I think that maybe it's like a concept of free will that I don't really believe, and somewhat of free will that I think that there are certain things in your life that lead you to do certain behaviors, and so when you commit those sins, you go to hell.
There was such a cut there. And so when you can commit those sins, cut. Maybe there was an Weird cut. Very weird. Interesting. Okay, you go to hell when you commit those sins. I'm not sure why you would still be reaping the consequence of that. Oh, okay, so you by making hey Sparkles, by making mistakes on Earth, you already get punished basically by karma or whatever the consequences of your actions are. Well, right? You get those. Therefore, you don't need to be punished afterwards.
I'm not too sure why you would still be
When you
reaping the
okay,
consequences of that.
Let's go here. I'm not too sure where you still be reaping the consequences of that, yeah. Because it's like, well, I already paid my dues in life. I already suffered in life. I said I can't address that, he says. Okay. So that is not a good look. Like I said, I can't address that. Okay. So you can't address the afterlife stuff. He declines to speak, and that's gonna look optimal. Optic loss. Okay. Do you believe that you can change? I do. Okay.
Like I said, I can't address that. Do you believe that you can change?
I do.
Do you believe you can change for the better?
I do.
I do. Okay, so sometimes say that it's put and played in, so he goes, okay, do you believe you could change? I do. Change into what? Do you believe that you can change for the better? I do. So that means you're a Christian. If you believe you can change for the better, you are a Christian. Well done. Do you believe that when you change for the better, you abandon the things you've done in the past that aren't good? Oh, goodness. That weren't good. I think you can. It's like, you're a Christian. Oh. I think you can. And he goes, well, that's very much in keeping with Christian doctrine. Then that's very much keeping with Christian doctrine. She goes this other route as well, where she's like, okay, can you explain to me? Because you did a nice jump yourself, but you need to explain you need to explain the logical jump that you just took, so I can take it with you, you know, because otherwise I'm lost. So here he goes.
Do you believe that when you change for the better, you abandon the things you've done in the past that weren't good?
I think that you can.
Okay, then that's very much in keeping with Christian doctrine.
Can you explain to me how that's in keeping with Christian doctrine?
You believe
if you would go to hell for those things?
You can.
Okay. Can you explain to me how that's in keeping with Christian doctrine? If you would go to hell for those things? You would go to hell for doing these, for not being better? I guess you would still go. So you did bad things. This is not as deep a conversation as we could have had. So you've gone to hell for doing bad things.
You believe you can improve.
Yeah.
Right? And you believe that if you improved, you would let go of things that were impeding you. That's a sacrifice.
Oh my God. You believe you can improve, so he's just going to repeat? I don't think he's explaining it to you, but this is where he puts it. He puts it in the next block. Okay? He puts it there. Yeah, you believe that if you improved, you would let things go that were impeding you. Okay? And that's a sacrifice. Okay? So all of those things, that's a sacrifice. And you would win. You believe that improvement would be upward. Okay. Would be upward, and you believe you have agency in that? Yeah. Those are all Christian suppositions. Okay. But they are not Christians though. These are not Christians, but I guess he's saying that those are I got them, you got all of that from Christianity. And there's nothing you can say that claims differently. Those are all Christian presuppositions. Okay, which is why I can't wait to get to claim 5, because this, it seems like Xena, confronts this problem that he's doing here. The way he's over he's oversimplifying. Get all the Christian presuppositions. Those are all Christian presuppositions. I guess we may be different. We have different opinions on what Christian morality is.
You believe that improvement would be upward, and you believe that you have agency in that. Yeah, those are all Christian presuppositions.
I guess maybe we have different opinions of what Christian morality is.
Yes, sounds
So I
like
think
it.
that my opinion
Maybe we have different opinions of what Christian morality is. Yeah, exactly. In the same way that he has a different idea of what belief is and what any of it is. His difference. This is his whole approach. That's exactly JP's approach. Changes his definition. His claims are true and doesn't interact with their definition at all. Okay. Okay, sounds like okay. And she goes, sounds like I think that my opinion of Christian morality is something that I don't really agree with and maybe would define that as like foundations of Christianity. Okay, so she's trying to say, listen, I don't believe what you believe.
of Christian morality is something that I don't really agree with, and maybe you would define that as like the foundations of
Well,
Christianity.
let me give you an example.
Mm-hmm. There, when she says foundations of Christianity, that's exactly what she's talking about. She's saying, yeah, cool, you this core definition, whatever, this overgeneralized definition, fine. She's conceding he uses that. I think that's fine. Let me give you an example. Oh, God. Okay, so it's going to be from the Bible. Okay. If you want to atone, which means to unify yourself and unify, okay. If you want to atone, unify yourself and unify that with the world, then the first thing you have to do is figure out what you did wrong and admit it. That's confession. Oh. Okay, so no. Yeah, these parallels are not, they're not, you're making you see that he's making logical points here, and yet that doesn't like mean anything to us or to an atheist. It will not mean that logical point is like, oh, this is similar to this. But when an atheist rejects God, they reject that far underlying stuff. You're acting like they're not rejecting God. And it's so silly to me. So there is this weird thing where we saw in the one claim that you can see there is, I suppose, blind faith. There is seeing the world a certain way that makes it possible to believe in God, I suppose. Then here, you're kind of trying to just impose that onto the atheists, that they just believe just by existing. Again, all of this is just by existing. You're actually believing in something by being part of a society, by believing anything at all, acting in any way. You are not an atheist. But what we usually mean when somebody tells me they're an atheist, I'm not thinking they don't believe in anything. Maybe if they tell me they're a nihilist, then I'll think about a certain way about them. But when they tell me they're an atheist, it means that they don't believe in God. They don't believe in a higher power. A lot of the time, I would need you to call yourself an agnostic if you actually believed in a higher power or something like that. But when I hear atheist, that's what I hear. And you're trying to make them the same thing. It's not the same thing. But I guess his claim isn't exactly doing that. There is some plausible deniability, because he's like, well, atheists, they do this, but they there's like a leap that we have to take with all of his claims. Claim 4, atheists accept Christian morality but deny the religion's foundational story. So it's like having a certain opinion on what atheists have done. Oh, they've denied the like it has a value judgment on it. That's sort of implied, but that implication brings you brings you this kind of plausible deniability. Everybody worships something, including atheists, even though, so again, this is like, oh, atheists, you worship something, therefore you're not an atheist. Okay. So morality and purpose can't be found within science. Oh, so you're saying atheists can't find morality, they found it in religion, but even though they reject religion. Okay. Atheists reject God, but they don't understand what they're rejecting, and that's basically the underlying claim for every all the rest of them, where it's just like, well, you don't understand it, so then you cannot but. Whereas I can believe all of these claims, but I don't think that makes these people believers in God. I can say that he's right about these things. They don't understand. This is a huge this claim over here. This is a huge over exaggeration, because most atheists have really done more soul searching and asking themselves about God than most Christians would. Okay, there's a lot of people that are just Christian by habit. They don't think about these things. They don't even know that their faith they haven't even tested their faith with these arguments. Then morality and purpose can't be found within science. This is the usual one. And then deny the religion's foundational stories. What are we supposed to have a problem with this? These claims aren't that bad, but there are points that an atheist will come to you and be like, this doesn't fit. And what do? Or you just wiggle around the whole time. So anyway, we've got the atheist claim, and what profound words. Thanks. Cool, I have access to scholarly databases through my uni. Oh, that's what I'm trying to join a a library for, so I can have the scholarly databases, so I can have JSTOR and all of those things. Because apparently that's included. So I want to do that too. Okay. So he was happy about it. He liked it.
So if you want to atone, which
Yeah.
means to unify yourself and unify that with the world, then the first thing you have to do is figure out what you did wrong and admit it. That's a confession. That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Okay, so that was the last claim from Peterson. Now we will get to the other. I'm going to take a pee first, though, and then we're going to get into the final claim, which is Zena's one. And she says, atheist claim, the Jordan Peterson's framework for understanding Christianity is probably not the one the Bible intended to use. So, quite interestingly, you would think his understanding of Christianity is not the one that atheists use, or something like that. You could go with that, because that's the thread we've had throughout this whole discussion, is that he has conflated a lot of things that supposedly turn an atheist into a believer. So she would maybe want to attack that, but here she actually just goes, no, let's go. It's not the one the Bible intended us to use. I'm very curious about it. I definitely have not heard this clip. So, what do you Christians think of the atheist's claim? Jordan Peterson's framework for understanding Christianity is probably not the one the Bible intended us to use. I don't think it is. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's a little bit misguided. I think he's too drunk on the meaning. He's trying to make it wishy-washy. Because it's a lot more comfortable if you make it wishy-washy. I understand. It's much easier to just say, I don't know, and carry on. Okay, and also I suppose just because the way that I've seen Christians react to this debate, I don't think he did it very well. So he doesn't seem to understand. Anyway, let's go for a BRB song and a BRB screen. Wouldn't that be fun? Right, guys? Because I can't pee right here. So, BRB.
Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy. She might get some coffee or maybe even some tea, but she'll be right back with you shortly. Kitty needs to go pee or maybe poopy.
Did you guys enjoy the song from Creamage? I hope the volume wasn't too bad. We're back. We're back. Okay. Poopy. I did not poopy. I went and made tea. Look. There's the tea. You see that there's steam? Yeah. A whole kettle was boiled and everything. Good song. It was a very good song, right? It's very cute. Do, 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 do. I promise. And I washed my hands. Tea is gay coffee. Listen, tea has a lot of caffeine in it. Oh, unless it's rooibos, which it doesn't have. Just hold on. That's not what the song said. It said I need to pee pee or poo poo. Or poopy. Sorry, I pee peed. Jasmine tea, my favorite. Yeah. I love me a jasmine tea, a green tea, jasmine and green tea, turmeric. Ouch. Found an article titled Academic Studies Claim Past Life Memories, a scoping review. Ooh, past lives. Those are interesting. Fun times. Rooibos is very healthy stuff. Absolutely. Okay. You know what's English drink tea? Very gay. Guys, my hip. You know what is very gay? Is my hip. Come on now. It's got to stop doing its shit. Yes. Okay, did I see something? Kitty is hiding her poop zoomies. I wish I had poop zoomies and we could get through this quick. Sorry, oopsie. Walk away to make tea. You might come back in an hour. Sargon, does he just leave it? I haven't been in a Sargon live stream for a very long time. I've only watched videos. Okay, interpret the Bible. Cool. So let's go. Let's get the video file. Because we have claim 4. Atheist claim. I didn't get to listen to it this morning, so I hope that this video is not horrible. Oh shit, I put it lower.
I picked Xena because I think she asked
Okay.
genuine questions and wasn't trying to win.
Okay, something is weird is going on with the audio, but it's fine. We're listening.
Hey, well, hello again.
Okay, chosen. Let's put a note here. Was asking good questions. Okay, I don't know if that's a thing to tell. I'll be off. Cardio doesn't do itself. Cardio day, let's go! Go, enjoy it, Michael. Remember to hydrate.
My claim is Jordan Peterson's framework for understanding Christianity is probably not the one that the Bible intended us to use. In regards to the way that you interpret the Bible, I don't see, you have said in some circumstances that there's not a way to kind of say whether or not ontologically the historical claims made by the Bible are true. Like, for example,
Okay. Thank you, Zena, because I think she asked genuine questions. Genuine, sorry. Okay. In regards to the way that you interpret the Bible, okay. I don't see you You have said in some circumstances. Okay, so that you have said in some circumstances there's not a way to say whether or not ontologically the historical claims are made by the Bible are true. Like the parting of the sea and all of that stuff. There's no way to say those things are true. So you believe in the stories. That's what I thought that he believed. I thought the way that Peterson believed in the Bible for many moons until those who wrestle with God and with until he went to Daily Wire actually, and then started like basically a Bible study, like a whole series of studying the Bible. I thought that he was just very much into the story of it, and I was very happy with him because it was actually making the stories of the Bible accessible again to people that had put them off because Christianity is cringe, you know. So it's like fine, just look at them as a story. It's okay, you can get that. So I was like, that's pretty cool that people will at least get exposed to the stories of the Bible and be a little bit more comfortable with them rather than just scorning them, and their view of the Bible will not be completely skewed to the worst parts of it that are hard to understand. That's what I thought he was about. So I don't know I don't think he knows what he believes anymore. Okay, Bible are true. Like, for example, the story of Cain and Abel. Okay, yeah, so she uses that. Example, Cain and Abel. You've said that this story is like a meta-truth in the sense that it exists all throughout time culturally in the way that you define meta-truth. Okay, oh, it seems like she's interrupted by him then. He deconstructed his own beliefs. You're right, although that's what it seems like he did.
the story of Cain and Abel, you said that this story is like a meta-truth in the sense that
Okay, Cain and Abel. Story is a meta-truth in the sense that it exists all throughout time culturally in the way that you define meta-truth. Well, does he?
it exists all throughout time culturally, and the way that you define meta-truth, I don't see a distinction between that and like a metaphor.
Okay. So, okay, let's see here. Let's go here. The way that you define meta-truth. I don't see a distinction. See a distinction between that and a metaphor. Okay, so yeah, it seems like you just like the metaphor of the Bible. But if you also said that you cannot say whether the story was true, okay?
Right? But and you also said you cannot say whether this story was true. You can say that it exists eternally.
Okay. You also said that you cannot say whether the story was true. You can say that it exists eternally, you know, metaphorically it's true, but you can't say that it's true. Okay, so we can't say it actually really happened, that there were these two guys and they were Cain and Abel. We can't say those actual things, and that's what I thought. He's not a literalist with the Bible, and lots of Christians aren't. And then those people are then denigrated by other Christians who are literalists, who say that's exactly it. Like, God really did create the earth in 7 days. Like, that's it. The earth is this old and blah blah. Like, there are within Christianity, there's debates.
You know, metaphorically, but it is, you can't say that it's true. And if you can't say that there are historical facts being said in the Bible as stories that weren't really said with much ambiguity, how can we say that we can understand the Bible in the way that it's meant to be interpreted?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you can't say that there are historical facts being said in the Bible, so yeah, this is something that a Bible literalist will say to a Christian person with this belief and say, you're wrong. You're not believing correctly. If you can't say that there's historical facts being said in the Bible, okay, then you're not believing. The way you're supposed to do it is to believe it's a fact. As stories, so you're being said historical facts, you can't say that this it's in the Bible, as stories that weren't really said that much with much ambiguity, okay? If you can't do that, okay, how can it's the same block. How can we say that we can understand the Bible in the way that it's meant to be interpreted? I think she can do better with the way she phrases this question. He might, yeah. Like, how, if you cannot make any claims about these stories, right, okay, then people will say, oh, you're inconsistent. This story is fine, and this story isn't. So in this story, that the person's opinion is there, and in the other story, it's just God. It just depends on the story.
Like, if you cannot make any claims about these stories, right? You don't know that they're true or false. How do you know that your interpretation is the correct way?
If you how do you know that your interpretation is the correct way? Yeah. Okay. See, that's why I picked you. You ask intelligent questions. Ooh, he like her.
So that's why I picked you. You ask intelligent questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good. What do they say? By their fruits you'll know them.
Okay. Wow. He's just spending some time wasting that 20-minute timer. I think they've got 20 minutes. You ask intelligent questions. What do they say? By their fruits you'll know them. Look at her. It's a fruitful conversation. Or are you going to actually say by fruits they will know them? Are you going to use this piece? Right. Well, so one of the things I look at is the impact of what I'm doing. Okay. Okay. So he's talking about this actually is a point that's next to being nice to her. So the fruit. So what are the consequences of what I'm doing? Okay.
Okay. Right. Well, so one of the things I look at is the impact of what I'm doing. Right. And so I know a lot of evangelical Christians, a lot of Catholics, a lot of Orthodox Christians, a lot of people from other faiths. And they've told me, like many of them, that they found my interpretations very helpful and that it deepened their faith.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's true for me. I'm one of those. I really do like the going into the archetypes and going much deeper into the story of it. Okay, so there's the belief of it, yes, but then the story of it. What is it really telling me? What can I learn from the story more than just, oh, it's the parable, and so this is what Jesus meant? Like, yeah, okay, but I wanted a deeper sort of understanding, and that's why I have Jordan Peterson's book. But that's not me now saying he is my pastor. Right, and so I know a lot of evangelical Christians, a lot of Catholics, a lot of Orthodox Christians, a lot of people from other faiths, and they've told me, many of them, they found interpretation very helpful. Okay, so it's just the comment. So you're just like, look, hey, other Christians think it's pretty good. Okay, but what about you? It's deepened the faith. Cool. So it's the consequences. It's helpful, but I don't think it's the one that you're supposed to apply. And so that's interesting because I wouldn't have necessarily expected that to be the case. Okay.
And so that's interesting because I wouldn't have necessarily expected that to be the case. And I've also talked to thousands of people who've told me that they came to understand the foundational stories of their culture better as a consequence of listening to me, and that they did everything they could to sort out their lives and that it worked. And that's many different.
Okay. So it's all the consequence because it landed up being good by their fruits. He used this by their fruits, right? So it's like, well, there's so much that his exploration of the Bible has been so fruitful that it's good. That's many different pieces of evidence that all converge on something like the practical and conceptual utility of my approach. Now, is it the same?
Different pieces of evidence that all converge on something like the practical and conceptual utility of my approach. Now, is it the same? There is a lot of approaches to biblical interpretation historically, and what I'm doing is possibly less new than you think.
Yeah, I want to make a claim.
Okay. Now, is it the same? There is a lot of approaches to biblical interpretation. This is typically what I'm doing, possibly less new than you think. Yeah, people have done this kind of thing before. It's just that people haven't been this famous, I suppose, while doing it. Been part of a culture war while doing it, I suppose. I want to make a claim on whether this evidence is enough. Okay. Okay, so where there's going to be plausible, so she's cool, that's very cool from you, but yeah. This is not the question she's going with. He's like, well, I have great consequences for it. It's really good. No, she wants to go about the truth. She wants to talk about the truth of it.
On whether this evidence is enough, right, to substantiate whether or not your interpretation is going to, be more plausible, right, be the most plausible. Because in regards
It's an open question.
Be the most plausible because, okay. He says it's an open question, which, yeah, it is an open question to every single person. But not everybody finds an answer by the time they're dead even. In regards to an open question, it's an open question. Okay. That doesn't matter to her. Very cool. We're here on the internet and you're surrounded. So this is not, you can't do that. You can't just go, oh, it's an open question, isn't it? Like.
Yeah, right.
You bet.
So in regards to how we interpret the Bible and how we see the Bible,
Wait, she said open question?
What I'm doing is possibly less new than you think.
yeah, I want to make a claim on whether this evidence is enough, right, to substantiate whether or not your interpretation is going to, be more plausible, right, be the most plausible. Because in regards
It's an open question.
Yeah, right.
You bet.
So in regards to how we interpret the Bible and how we see the Bible, something can add value to someone's life. An interpretation can add value to someone's life.
Okay. Right. How we interpret the Bible. So, in regards to how we interpret the Bible, she's going back to it. Okay. How we interpret the Bible and how we see the Bible. Something can add value to someone's life. An interpretation can add value to someone's life. Cool. Okay. Interpretation. Yes, there's this interpretation layer. Right. Okay, cool. So it could be a cool book. This could be a cool book, like The Wheel of Time, that taught me things.
Interpretation can connect you to your conception of what your faith is. But if
Interpretation can connect you, yes, to what your faith is. Cool. But, ooh, she got a but. But if it's the quote-unquote interpretation that God does not intend, that can lead to a plethora. Okay.
it's the quote-unquote interpretation that God does not intend, that can lead to a plethora.
That's certainly the case. That's why the medieval Christians were so concerned about heresy.
A plethora of she doesn't get to finish. She does not get to finish. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's certainly the case. That's why medieval. Yeah, man. It feels high. That's why the medieval Christians were so concerned about heresy. Okay. Because all the bad interpretations came out. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they felt, and that's why the Catholics objected so much to the Protestant Reformation, because they believed.
Okay, cool. But she's trying to speak about you. Because they felt, that's why. Oof. Look at him go. That's why Catholics objected so much to the Protestant Reformation, because they believed the fractionation of Christianity would result in an indefinite fractionation. Okay, cool. But she's trying to nail you down here. So can you just, you're being very interesting. Cool. But she's trying to have a conversation with you.
That the fractionation of Christianity would result in an indefinite fractionation, right? Well, and that's exactly what's happened.
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely a problem. I think one of the foundational principles, for example, there's a foundational principle in the Old.
Okay, we're just gonna get more preachy preach. That's definitely a problem. Okay. What else is a problem? I think one of the foundational principles, for example, there's a foundational principle of the Old Testament of hospitality, right? Yes, there's hospitality. You cannot not let someone stay in your house. Yes, foundational. Okay. For example, there's a foundational principle in the Old Testament of hospitality. So what you want to do is set up your local environment properly. Okay. Look at him go, Zena. Wave at him as he leaves.
Testament of hospitality, right? So what you want to do if you set up your local environment properly is to make it welcoming to people voluntarily. And so one of the ways you could judge the validity of the interpretation of a classic story is whether or not that interpretation might be regarded by someone as welcoming.
Jeez. Okay. So guess what? There's this whole theme of welcoming. So there's theme of welcoming. Wow. Okay. He's using this to preach to her. And so one of the ways you could judge the validity of an interpretation of a classic story is that whether it or not the interpretation might be regarded as somewhat welcoming. This is all does not matter because this is all interesting. Cool. All of this, the only thing you could say for it is it's interesting. Does that represent something you'd actually like to have if you were acting in your own interest in the long run? Remember that's part of the first book with the 12 rules for life, where he was like, what would you do that you could do, blah blah blah, and act as if you're taking care of yourself, as if you're someone you're responsible for. All of that kind of is underlying this. Oh, is it welcoming? Okay, would it actually be good? These are not untruths. Okay, but they are irrelevant right now. Right, and we can talk, and we can talk about what that, like, do you protect from fear? Okay.
Understanding of this interpretation once more. So we look at again
environment properly is to make it welcoming to people voluntarily. And so one of the ways you could judge the validity of the interpretation of a classic story is whether or not that interpretation might be regarded by someone as welcoming. Does that represent something you'd actually like to have if you were acting in your own interest in the long run?
right, and we can talk about that.
Yeah, right, cool. We could talk about that, but that's not what we're here for. And we can talk about that. Uh-oh, don't worry, he's got another one for you. He's got another one for you, Zena. Hold your horses. Don't try and be polite and divert him with conversation like a human. He's got other things to do. Okay? And we can talk about that another day.
Like do
Protect you from fear might be another one.
exactly.
Okay. Protect you from fear. So she's like, yeah, exactly. Woo! Protect you from fear might be another one. Yeah, does this classical story, does it protect me from fear? Yeah, it's just cool. Yeah, exactly. Sweet. She's just going to agree with you so you can let her speak. Sure. It's the same thing as the guy going sure, 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 but saying exactly in that way doesn't insult him.
So we can talk about like how these interpretations of the Bible, like if they kind of resonate with us. And I do.
So that's what she's done. Oh, she's so good. She does this thing of where she makes the person feel heard. Earlier on she did it in a way where she would say, I see, we're talking about this and this and this. That's something that was like a strategy that she says, we're talking about this. Several times she would go back to it. He would do a whole tangent and then she would say, we're talking about this. Here, she's just used a different structure of it by saying, we could talk about blah, 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 because that's what he was doing. So she's like, we could. Oh, she's just doing it quite elegantly. That's what's pretty cool. So we can talk about how these. So look, she slots herself in here and be like, "Wow, okay, cool." So we could totally talk about how these things, these interpretations of the Bible, if they kind of resonate with us, cool. So that's fine. This is this great version of her just being like making him feel heard, and that's part of having a good conversation. Summarize. Showing understanding, even if it isn't. It's not full concession. It's not like, oh my God, he's completely taken away. He's completely blown my argument out of the water. It's like, no, the fact that he's not talking about something relevant to me, and this is not a danger to me. Let me show him I heard him, but I need to move on. So hopefully, let's see how she goes. It's sure is a contrast to you're nothing. Yeah, exactly. But I do think that in some case, okay, hold on, I don't know what she's talking about.
I think that can in some case be some kind of like evidence, oh, this might be true, but I think we need to ask, is evidence damning, right?
Okay. In some cases, this could be evidence. I'm just trying to rephrase without the likes. In some cases, this could be evidence. Like he said, this is again, like he said, she is bringing back to this could be evidence of this might be true. Okay. Okay. And that again goes directly into more showing she's heard Peterson. Okay, because we've got this here, and it goes directly. See, I look at the validity of interpretation. She's literally going, fine, the validity of interpretation, how he judges it, cool, you can do it that way. In some ways, cool, we can say that makes it true, or makes it seem true. But I think we need to ask, is this evidence damning? Okay. So she wants to go. Okay, so we've got the but. I think we need to ask, is evidence damning? The fact that it is. Okay, is she saying the fact that it is agreeable, easy to digest, is that damning as well? Could it mean the fact that it's welcoming also mean that it's bad?
Is this
That's
evidence
great.
certain, right?
Yeah.
So,
Is this evidence damning? Is this evidence? I'm gonna put this in a different block. Is this? Oopsie. Is this? Now she's getting impatient. You can see she's. Shut the fuck up, man. Is this evidence certain, right? And he starts talking again.
I do want to look at, again, the consequences and our of the Bible.
Interest in the long run.
Right, and we can talk about that. Like do...
Protect you from fear might be another one.
Exactly. So we can talk about, like, how these interpretations of the Bible, like, if they kind of resonate with us. And I think that can, in some case, be some kind of, like, evidence, oh, this might be true, but I think we should ask, is evidence damning, right? Is this evidence certain, right? Yeah. So, but I do want to look at, again, the consequences and our understanding of this interpretation once more.
But I do want to look at the consequences of our understanding of this interpretation once more. What a good girl. So she's like, okay, cool. I've appeased your interest in blah, blah, blah. Here, let us go over here. I would want to look again at the consequences of and our understanding of this interpretation once more. So let's go again. So we look at, again, the story of Cain and Abel, and we say...
So we look at, again, the story of Cain and Abel, and we say, yeah, so I believe this is a meta-truth. I believe that this story is resonant throughout cultures. That is all Trinitarian. I'm sure that there is some, in some way...
Okay, I believe that the story, Abel and say this is a meta-truth. I believe that this story is resonant throughout cultures, which is the same thing as calling it a meta-truth. Resonant throughout cultures. That's all true. Okay, that's true. That can be meta-truth.
It's put in here for the reason, right? To tell us about, fights between brothers. But also, you can't...
I'm sure there is some... That's why... in some way the story was put there for the reason to tell us about fights between brothers. Don't. He's going to try and bring up more. It's not just fights between brothers. There's so much more to it. Or you might trigger him. You're going to set him off. In some way, the story was put in here for the reason, right, to tell us about, fights between brothers. But also... you can't say, I don't know that this story is false or true in an ontological, historical sense. Okay? So she's got an extra thing that's supposed to come here. No, it's alongside.
Say I do know or I don't know that this story is false or true in an ontological, historical sense, as a historical.
Ontological in an ontological historical sense as historical fact. Okay, but you also can't say I don't know. So why can't you say I don't know? You're gonna have to explain why you can't say I don't know. You have to say that it is true as well. Were there two people like that specifically referenced? Okay. Okay, I don't think that's knowable, but I'm not sure why it matters to you. Okay.
Fact. Were there two people like that were specifically referenced?
Okay, I don't think that's knowable, but
Right.
I'm not sure why it matters
Right.
to you.
Yeah, okay. I don't think that's knowable, but I'm not sure why that matters to you. Yeah, okay. So no, she's got to now tell us why knowing the truth, why seeing it as an ontological truth is necessary. Why seeing it as is relevant. He's decided it isn't relevant, but she's trying to say it is. And she hasn't given us that. Changing a stick to a snake is an easy level 0 cantrip. Yes, the Egyptian magicians did it.
So the reason why it matters to me is because we need to know how we should interpret the things that the Bible says, and
Okay, the reason it matters. She wants to know the truth. It matters is to me is because we need to know how we should interpret the things that the Bible says. Yeah? We need to know, and we need to live in a world where it's absolutely clear what we're supposed to do. Right? And the things in many ways, sometimes poetry, sometimes history. Okay, let's go. Fuck's sake.
right? So, but I do want to look at, again, the context. I do know or I don't know that this story is false or true in an ontological, historical sense, as a historical fact. Were there two people? How we should interpret the things that the Bible says, and the
Many
things,
ways.
right? But like, if we interpret
Sometimes poetry, sometimes history.
How we should interpret the things. So his answer is many ways. She's like, no, I want one way. Because we literally have a guy that's saying he's the way. But if we interpret sometimes poetry, so he goes, many ways. Okay. Okay, Grandpa. Many ways. Let me tell you the ways. Let me count the ways. Interpret sometimes poetry, sometimes history. Sometimes history. Let's let him get to
History,
Well,
sometimes
but
fact,
for
sometimes
example,
metaphor.
the reason why
it. Sometimes poetry, sometimes history, sometimes facts. Okay, I don't know what he means by that. Interpretation through interpretation. Okay, sometimes facts, metaphor. Okay, but she's like, no, I don't want your sometimes. I want this time, and that's it. Okay, otherwise you're wishy-washy.
it's important, right? Very important is because, for example, you talk about something like God says, I believe it's like 1 Corinthians 15.
The reason why it's important, very important, is because. Okay, so she has to just keep talking because he's gonna. Yep. Talk about someone who. Also, fuck off, I'm talking. So, died for his sins is important. Okay, let's see if we've got enough here.
17, something about how belief in God, specifically as someone who resurrected or as someone who died for our sins, is important, right? But we have to look at, if we can interpret that as just like, you have to believe that God is a symbol of sacrifice.
Here we go. Good girl. Go. Let her go. That's it. She's confronting him with the way he believes is not essentially, it's not how other Christians believe. Okay? But we have to look at it. If we can interpret it just like you have to believe in God as a symbol of sacrifice, there's a great giving us the alternative. Okay? That would be something he would like. It might what's the name? Set him off. That is different to believing that there was an actual person named Jesus Christ who died on the cross for our sins. Absolutely, and Christians will tell you this. They will tell you this. They're like, yeah, there is a very, very different, those are different things. And then Christians will argue about which parts of the Bible you're not supposed to, at any point, see any humanity in the Bible. any human influence, you're supposed to just be like, it was all inspired. It's all the divine word of God. There is no cultural influence. There is nothing like that. You have to make peace with that.
That is different from believing that there was an actual person named Jesus Christ who died on the cross for our
That's
sins.
true.
So if you believe
That's true. Good boy. Good boy. It didn't set him all the way off. He said that's true. Good girl, Zena. Yay. Look at you. All you had to do is explain it to him, but you had to be very patient. Okay, but let's see where he goes with this. That's true.
one and not the other, that can be the difference between you going to hell and you going to heaven. So
So if you believe one and not the other, that can be the difference between you going to hell and going to heaven. Yes, good. She's building her argument brick by brick here. Okay. So if we cannot say that we know whether or not certain historical facts, so if you keep saying I don't know, you can't sit with the unknowable. Is her opinion here? Okay. In fact, in the Bible, happen even when it's like matter, because again, God dying on our sins. Okay, was an event. Yes. Okay. Many likes make it very difficult to read.
So if we cannot make, we cannot say that we know whether or not certain historical facts in the Bible happen, even as just events, because the events matter, because again, God dying for our sins on the cross was an event. If we can't say that we know these things happen, these things did or didn't happen.
Okay, she's just rewording the if we can't say that we know that these things happened, these things that didn't happen, then this leads to us kind of like the conundrum of how do we know what we are meant to believe. Okay, we finally get there. I think she was just so happy she got time to speak. She's like, oh my God, he's listening to me. Okay, what the Bible intended for us to believe. Okay, meant to believe. Science starts imperfect and approaches perfection. Religion starts perfect though no updates. Well, one of the arguments we encountered in the previous claims was that that because God's revelation happened over time and seemed to change, that changeability, that the thing that this was a law here and then he changed a little bit over here over time, that was an indication that he's not perfect, that he's not revealing himself in a consistent way. The inconsistency of God is therefore an example of his imperfection. Then that would require you to find inconsistency. Deja vu, yes, that's what we're talking about. Okay, what was the Bible intended for us to believe? Okay, this can be very important, to our faith. Okay, cool. Do you see that? Yes. Please stop me.
This then leads us to kind of the conundrum of how do we know what we are meant to believe, what the Bible intended for us to believe, and this can be very, very important to our fate. Do you see what I'm saying?
I've got no disagreement with any of that.
Yep, he's got no disagreement with any of that. Okay. But she's saying yours is wrong. She's saying your interpretation is wrong. Okay, so he agrees with her. Her argument has been claimed. I don't. What sort of response you want from that?
What sort of response do you want from that? You pushed me beyond the limits of my knowledge.
Really?
Well.
Ooh, what sort of response do you want from that? You pushed me beyond the limits of my knowledge. That's good. Admit it, Peterson. Very good. That's what you should do. Okay, just say, oh, I'm out of my depth here. Good girl. I guess we're gonna. Should we remove a point because he said you pushed me beyond the limits of my knowledge? I don't know. I mean, he conceded it with a lot of grace, but we can remove the point.
There's so many things you can't know.
Yeah, considering the smiling, I think I'm going to take it off. Really? Don't push me, because I am on the edge. I'm about to lose my hand. Okay, so accepts the loss with grace. Remove HP. HP loss. Genuine HP loss. But this but. Okay. Cool. Everybody smiles. They're like, look, he did it. And that's kind of a great way to go, like, yeah, he was not the right one. I believe that not being 100% all-knowing is a loss, but it's also not unsurprising. You know, but he's like, you've pushed me to the limits of my knowledge. It is like I don't know how to respond to that. And this was a debate that you should know things about. So there you go. One down. Sticker. Yeah. And whatever it is. There you go. I don't believe. Yeah, cool. Yeah, is there really knowledge? Cool. He doesn't know about this. He has conceded the claim. It's not worthy of losing a point, Dildo. You're just saying that to be full of shit. Okay.
Struggling. I know that the biblical stories are the foundation of Western culture.
Okay, really? Well, I think there's many things you can't know. He's being honest. I think you're right. I guess you understand, like, he is being honest. He's going further about it. But they will see that as a win. You saw that the way they cut to the others, so I could put it as an optical win. I don't know. I think this is so many things. Well, I think there's so many things you can't know. Good honesty. Okay. People should say I don't know more often. Not just waffle. Good honesty. I'm struggling. Good. I'm struggling. I know that the biblical stories are the foundation of Western culture. So this is what he's showing what he knows. Okay. He knows that. I know that the consequence of those stories has been the genesis of a society that is the main, freer, and more abundant than any societies have ever been. Okay. So it's like Western culture. So Western culture is pretty good. That's where we got freedom from. Oopsie. Okay, so it's, and then I don't exactly understand the relationship between those stories. Okay, let's go next. This is great to finally hear something about how he sees those stories and that outcome, but it's not nothing, right? I agree with him. It's not nothing. Okay, those stories aren't nothing. I don't know. I don't know to the answer to the question that you're asking. That's pretty cool. And I think he would not. The same argument could have been brought to him by one of those people, those other people that he didn't really connect with, and they would have done it too aggressively, and he wouldn't have conceded in this manner. Absolutely not. He would be frowning at them. And he would be saying, don't put words in my mouth and all of that. But the way that he's interacting with her is completely different.
I know that the consequence of those stories has been the genesis of a society that is in the main freer and more abundant than any societies have ever been. I don't exactly understand the relationship between those stories and that outcome, but it's not nothing.
Right.
But I don't know I don't know the answer to the questions that you're asking. You know, it's the case that forever, when people have been interpreting religious stories, they wrestled with exactly the question that you just described.
Get my book. When is it fact? When is it poetry? Yeah, you got to try and find the answer. When is it fact? When is it poetry? When is it just a story? When is it music? When is it metaphor? There are people of faith that will say there's no when about it. It's always true. It's always fact. That's it. Interpretation isn't it. One of the favorite things that you'll see my father say, he goes, "Oh, it's not what I think. It's what the Bible says," which is what the Bible says will come down to interpretation eventually, because you're a human reading it. Just wanted to say hi and drop a like. Sorry I can't stay. Thank you for the like, peepers. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Have a look at peepers. So cute. Go and have a look at where peepers comes from. If you're following Cinevere, you will know where that is. Okay. Music, when is it metaphor? When is it ritual? A lot of it's ritual. But ritual matters in the Bible. It's literally, this is how you remain separate from other people by doing these things. When is it time bound? But what I'm saying, so she's trying to say a thing. So she's not asking a question. She's actually just saying, but I'm saying that you're wrong though. I'm not asking you a question. There is that. But what I'm saying is that your interpretation of the Bible, if you cannot tell us, okay, your interpretation of the Bible, if you cannot tell us whether it's true or not, okay, if these happened or not, that can't be decided. That can be the deciding factor in if someone is like damned to hell or eternity if they go to heaven, right? And then he's like, that's why I don't concern myself with it. Well, I at least can respect where he's at. Understand what you believe. Titty kitty, yeah, it's the titty kitty.
When is it fact? When is it poetry? When is it music? When is it metaphor? When is it ritual? When is it time bound?
But what I'm saying is that your interpretation of the Bible, if you cannot tell us, again, if these historical events happened or not, that can be the deciding factor in if someone is like damned to hell for eternity or if they go to heaven, right? So that's why
I don't concern.
So that's why, and he's like, I don't concern myself with that particular question, you know? That's nice. But he clearly doesn't, but she wants him to. She's like, but I'm asking you this question. She's like, I don't really concern myself with it. So I opt out. Like, that would be something that would stem more from an evangelical viewpoint. Okay. An evangelical viewpoint. So it's like, oh, what am I preaching to people? Is that what you mean by evangelical? Please ask him. Please, Zena, ask him. And I'm not putting that down, by the way. Okay.
Myself so much with that particular question. You know, like that would be something that would stem more from an evangelical viewpoint. And I'm not putting that down, by the way. I don't. You're asking me a question I really can't answer.
Okay.
I'm not.
She's not asking you a question. Although she does put this here. She makes a statement and it kind of goes, there is an if in it. In someone's like, so it's not exactly a question, but he ain't preaching, he reaching. But yeah, saying that interpretation of the Bible, if you cannot tell us again if these historic events happened or not, that can be the deciding factor in if someone is damned to hell or eternity, if they go to heaven. So this isn't a question, or he's interpreting it as a question, I suppose. You're asking me a question I really can't answer. How would we phrase this as a question? As a question, is your interpretation of the Bible sufficient for belief in Christianity? do you need to believe in the facts, believe it's factual to be saved? And that is a valid question. That is very scary. Like, okay, there's some stuff in that Bible that you're like, are you sure about that? And it's like, you believe all of it or you believe none of it. That's what a lot of pastors and evangelical preachers would say to me with that question.
Claiming even that my interpretations are canonically correct. I can only tell you the consequences of having released them into the world.
Really can't answer. I'm not claiming that. Okay, so I think this is a nice. It's unfortunate most people won't get to this. Didn't get to this part. Interpretations are canonically correct. I'm not claiming that my interpretations are correct. Good. He's like, this is how I see them. Yeah. It's so sad. People probably did not see this. They only saw Danny say, "You're quite nothing," and that's all the fuck we got. I can only tell you the consequences of having released them into the world. And he said that that's good. And I would say, to me, they were good. They are good. That's why I'm listening to his book. That's why I listened to him at all. But in terms of this context, he just didn't perform. It shows that he's still on a journey, and he is not quite sure, and maybe shouldn't have been in this debate in the first place.
Right. So I guess we've kind of come to a conclusion about that, which I've kind of wrestled with your framework and pushed it kind of to its end, at least in the way that you can answer my question.
Yes, girl. There she goes. She does another thing. Let's get into this habit. So look what I've done. Look what I've done. Zena, you're fucking great. Okay, so look. So I don't know what she's like, cool. So framework and pushed it kind of to its end. She does the summary thing. It's again, she's like, fine. So I guess we've kind of come to a conclusion about that which I've kind of wrestled with your framework and pushed it to its kind of end, at least in the way that you can answer my question. Cool. Right. I guess that's a good conclusion, good conversation. So I don't know that we can more wrestle with that. Yeah, we can't really go further. Like, okay, so I've beaten you, you're dead, and it's cool. But again, maybe she does. I don't know what she did afterwards. If she did take this as, haha, I've kicked his ass, or if she really does just like, okay, respect his answer. It would be very interesting. So I don't guess the problem is,
So I don't know that we can more wrestle with that.
See, I guess the problem is, you see, I don't exactly understand.
That topic. Okay. I don't. He really likes talking to you. He really does. See, I don't exactly think anybody does the relationship between fact and destiny. Anybody knows the. Okay.
I don't think anybody does the relationship between fact and destiny.
I don't think anybody does. So, I don't think anybody can wrestle. I'm going to put that in here. Wrestle. No. I'll say no. No. The relationship between fact and destiny. You know, well, they're different roles. In a way, because knowing what the world is made of doesn't help you navigate through it. Okay, if you say so.
Well, they're different realms in a way, because knowing what the world is made of doesn't help you navigate through it. Not really. It doesn't provide you with a foundation for navigation.
It doesn't provide you with a foundation for navigation. I guess it depends on how you interpret that sentence. Like, oh, knowing about what the world is made of. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, the atoms and things doesn't help you for navigation. But knowing the facts of the world is obviously useful. Okay. Okay, obviously useful. And the relationship between those two things, part of them, that's mystery of Western civilization and the continued competition between science and religion. Woo! Okay, now he's preaching again. to bridge this kind of understanding between fact and destiny. It's like an important question that the burden is on Christianity to answer. Oh, good boy. The burden is on Christianity to answer. Yeah.
But knowing the facts of the world is obviously useful. And the relationship between those two things, and part of that's the mystery of Western civilization and the continued competition between science and religion.
To bridge this kind of understanding between
Oh shit, she did it. She did it. She wants to bridge the understanding. Look at her. To bridge this understanding between fact and destiny is like an important question. Okay.
fact and destiny is like an important question that the burden is on Christianity to answer, and specifically interpretations of Christianity.
Okay, no wonder. I was like, really? That's really good of him. No, that's what she's saying. The bridge is kind of understanding with fact is like an important question. That the burden is on Christianity to answer, and specifically interpretations of Christianity. Okay. The burden is on Christianity, I think, because we're on the believe side. Okay, you're on the believe side. They're on the it's okay, I'm good. There's nothing else going on side. So yes, the burden is on Christians if they want to be evangelical, or they can just live their lives and continue.
If we can't do that,
Why is the burden on Christianity?
because it
Still going. I'm almost done. There's like a few minutes left. And if we can't do that, why is the burden on Christianity? Oh, an interesting question. At least he's asking it. Okay, and I'm sure she is able to answer it quite normally. Okay, and I like that they're asking questions of each other. Great stuff. Did you gym? I Pilatesed this morning. Okay, because it posits the right interpretation. Okay. Yeah, it says this is what is right.
posits, right, that this interpretation, right, is going to be a way to understand God. But if it's
Mm-hmm. The making of this diagram, we can diagram. You make a joke. I'll do it. Don't tempt me. I'll do it. Day 1. Day 2. Day 3. Migraine. And migraine is not how you say it. That's not how you say it. Blah blah blah. And we can do a diagram of pronunciation because it posits the right interpretation. Yeah. Which is what's necessary. What?
faulty, right, that can
What
again,
evidence would you see? What
right, because it posits, right, that this interpretation, right, is going to be a way to understand God. But if it's faulty, right, that can
what
again,
evidence would you see?
But if it's faulty, why are there people here? What's going on? Theo, you're very cute. I'll leave this here because I have to answer the door. Okay. Can I give you a card? 36. Eh? Just hold on. Okay. Don't you have a change? Do you have room? It's 36 minutes. Do you have one? Or let's see. Okay, thank you. All right, I'm back. You guys had enough time to get a like and things, okay? Okay, what Jordan? I did indeed, Jim. Wee, Pilates give nice tone, buddy. Jordan collapsed here, suddenly saying that people need to appeal to things that are fundamental beliefs. Suddenly, his fundamental belief needs to be underpinned by something more fundamental. Oh, external to fundamental. Here, in this last claim, that's what he was saying. It needs to be underpinned by something more. Well, that's what she's saying. It needs to be. It needs to be underpinned by more than just, well, that's a great lesson, a great meaning for me to take. That's what she's saying here. She's saying like it posits the right interpretation. You need it, and it is going to be the way that you understand God is the difference between eternal life and damnation.
Christianity to answer and specifically interpretations of Christianity. And if we can't do that,
Why is the burden on Christianity?
because it posits, right, that this interpretation, right, is going to be a way to understand God. But if it's faulty,
Okay. If it's faulty, yeah. Going to be the way to understand God. But if it's faulty, is going to be the way to understand. But if it is faulty, right? If it's faulty, we don't need the right there. If it's faulty, what evidence would you? Oh,
right, that can
What
again.
evidence would you see?
what did it buy? I don't know. I haven't opened it. I don't know. But yeah, I had to pay for the delivery. It's always annoying.
Evidence would you accept?
Okay. But if it's faulty, if it's faulty, she's saying if it's faulty, you would be damned for all eternity. If it's faulty. According to her earlier arguments, she was probably going to say if it's faulty, you can go to hell. Okay, okay, here goes. What evidence would you accept? Okay, which is a valid question. Checkmate, atheists, hedge your bets. What evidence would you accept? That would be an interesting question. Did he just go, oh, that's an interesting question I've asked?
That would be an interesting question because I've seen people try to answer the question, and I've never really been moved because I can always attack and then again kind of get to this point where the answer is I don't know.
Well,
Okay, so yeah. That's the thing. That's where you get. That is exactly where you get. What evidence would you accept? And that's where I get this idea that from this diagram, that is, an atheist gets to the I don't know and says therefore it doesn't exist. A believer gets to the I don't know and says it's in God's hands. I believe in God anyway. That's the difference. And I guess that's not fun for an atheist. It's like, but I won though. You're supposed to change your mind. And I don't know what to tell you. Okay, what evidence would you accept? And so she is right. That would be an interesting question. So she also doesn't get to say what kind of. She's like, the burden is on them. The burden is on them. She's put it on them. She's put it on the Christians. She's like, I've spoken to them and they haven't given me enough. So that's it. There's nothing more you can do. So then always attack and then again kind of get to this point where the answer is I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I think I need to just note the I don't know, because I think it's just the main thing that I've come up with from this discussion. seems like the atheist gets to be and says that means no God. The believer gets to the don't know and gives that ignorance to God to deal with. Surrenders to it. I think that's kind of what I'm getting from this whole thing. Like saying you believe when you really don't is worse. It's worse. If God knows you had no evidence of him, isn't being atheist passing the truth test? Ooh, interesting, yeah. Because you're like, that's what I want. Why I also then wonder if Peterson won't say this. Why won't he call himself an atheist then? I don't know. I don't know why he won't say these things. It's definitely worse. Okay. There's an answer. I'm sorry, that's time. Their answer is I don't know. Okay.
Here's an answer.
Pause there. I'm sorry, that's time.
Okay.
Did he say, I'm sure there's an answer? What?
To understand God. But if it's faulty, right, that can
What
again,
evidence would you what evidence would you accept?
that would be an interesting question because I've seen people try to answer the question and I've never really been moved because I can always attack and then kind of get to this point where the answer is I don't know.
Well, here's an answer.
Pause there. I'm sorry.
Oh, he said, well, here's an answer. He was going to say something nice and meaningful. He was going to say, here's an answer. Oh, what answer was he going to say, guys? What answer was he going to say? And then the time ran up.
That's time.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Well, I definitely picked the right person.
Thank you.
That was very good.
Thank you so
Really,
much.
very good. I don't like talking to win.
I don't like talking to women. It sounded like I don't like talking to women. Just hold on. Okay. Just first of all, let me share the link so that it's just okay. It's published. It can only be shared as a static map. Okay, so you guys can't see it for true. You can't actually see me editing it. So there's the link. But let us go and just watch their end bit here. I'm not diagramming it because it's just their feedback. There is no evidence of God or a lack thereof. Can we accept that? Yeah, can you accept it?
But there were portions
And
of all the conversation.
it's not that there's no evidence, it's that the interpretation of evidence, you have to believe in the evidence at the same time. So you're kind of stuck. So the evidence of God is something you have to believe in.
That were truly productive, and that it's instructive for people to see the distinction between a debate that's aimed at local victory and dominance, let's say, even of ideas, and a discussion that's predicated on mutual exploration and establishment of like a harmonious understanding and peace.
Yeah, that's I think what he saw with Zena there. He saw, okay, that he's like, that's the kind of conversation he wants to have. He doesn't want to have conversations for winning, but then of course the internet pushes people into these things, and he's there because it's like, yeah, debate. He's part of what was the debate, bro.
Jordan Peterson, out of all of the kind of theists that are on the internet, he is one of the better ones in regards to just like being genuine as a person. But I do feel like he does a lot of, I guess, wordplay that can make it a little bit
He does make a lot of wordplay, and that is not the definition, Judge.
difficult and kind of just muddies the waters in regard to what we define as Christianity and atheism.
Jordan Peterson, I credit to turning me into an atheist. I don't.
So that's Kate. He says that Jordan Peterson turned him into an atheist. So we're obviously going to explore that question if we get to speak to him this week. So look out for that.
Blast talking to him today. I think if the average person followed what Jordan Peterson said, they'd realize that fundamentally Jordan Peterson is not a Christian, in fact, uses many atheistic principles, and operated under bad faith by seeming to forget what basic words meant when he didn't want to answer a question.
Yeah, that's why he landed up with fewer life points there, boys. It didn't work because he did jump around a lot, and they would not let him go off king.
His definitions can kind of shift a little bit depending on the moment, and I think that he wasn't afraid to flex that definitional muscle.
I felt really good about our conversation. I thought that it highlighted some key issues in Jordan Peterson's theology. I hope he reflects on these issues and maybe deepens his perspective on them in the future.
I actually think Xena did that more than Ian. And Xena did that more than Ian did. But it applies.
Xena, she was able to build up such a rapport that he chose her in the end, and they were able to have an extended dialogue, which is something I had hoped for. So maybe I learned a little something from Xena about being more cordial.
It's extraordinarily useful to be able to model productive debate and conversation for people and see how my thoughts were landing with people who are particularly skeptical, and to put that in front of a large audience and to assess the consequences.
Yeah. Okay. He assessed the consequences. Well, the consequences is everybody thought bro fell off. So yeah, there's that. Right. So we are done. And it's only a 3.5 hour. We're good. But that's it for today, guys. We are done for the whole diagram. I'm gonna obviously have to clean it up a little bit. And what I want to do for the rest of the week is, in the rest of the week, we're going to do a let me see if I can open this up for you. He did fell off, but he's honey baku. What? Well done, the apex of the mountain. Yeah, we did it, guys. Thank you for sitting around with me until we got it. Jam, I just got you a neurodetergent. Sorry about that. But we will be going over an old school debate. Let me actually bring it up for you guys so you guys can see. And I'll say old school, it's previous Peterson. Okay. So let's go here. Where is it? Oh gosh, I actually think I might have to open a local file. Yeah, let's go. Dave Smith, Joe Rogan, Thinkers episode, Tim Pool. No, come on. Video assets. Let me go in here. TDK Xmind. Channel memberships. No. Sorry, I'm just looking for this old diagram. Destiny, Warren Smith, Destiny panel, Triumph, focus group, diagram everything, affirmative action, Elon Musk versus Don Lemon, the final empire, episode template, Dragon, House of the Dragon, live discussion, mental health mind map, middle ground, most critical. We've done a lot of stuff. Presidential debates, ReviewTube, Thinkers, Trump think Vin versus Leon. Let's see, yeah. Nah, it'll be in my works then. Let me see in my works. Jordan Peterson. No, what is it? Political correctness. No files found because I spelled political wrong. All maps. Okay. My maps. Okay, I'll need to find it. Let me just check if it is just all on political. Fuck you. Okay, it might be on my other profile, but I need to get it. It's a political correctness debate that that included Jordan Peterson, and it was the one where we got the clip of "Be precise." Be precise. It's you're a mean white man. That one. You're a mean, grumpy white man. That's where that comes from. So that's what we're doing for the rest of the week. And of course, I'm trying to organize to speak to Cade, which would be on our third day, our third stream day. Tomorrow is my birthday. So if you don't show up for my stream tomorrow, I'm going to be very upset. It's not going to be a birthday stream. Unless you guys insist. But it's not going to be a birthday stream. We're going to just stream on my birthday. Alex O'Connor did a good rebuttal. Oh, you know what? We could watch that for the last few minutes. Because he did make a very interesting thing. So let's do that. We can finish off with that. Yeah. Alex O'Connor. That was in my watch latest. Alex O'Connor. Okay, yeah, let's see here. Oh, geez. One hour. That's great. Okay, the Bible is anti-slavery, so he goes through the whole fucking thing. Love it. But let's hear his intro. Okay, because that's as far as we're probably gonna get. Slides, PDFs, share screen. Yeah. Let me know if there's echo. I'm sorry if there is.
Last year, I was in the hot seat of Jubilee's Surrounded series. I was one atheist surrounded by 25 Christians, and I had a wonderful time. Recently, Jordan Peterson took a crack at it. He was one Christian surrounded by 25 atheists. At least he was.
He was. Until they changed the name. If you stream tomorrow, we can all sing for you. Yes! So that's what you're going to do. Yes, and I'm absolutely 25. You know that.
Until Jubilee changed the title of the video, probably because Jordan Peterson kept refusing to clarify whether or not he calls himself a Christian.
Since you yourself are a Christian, right?
That's, people debate about that, and I generally don't discuss it publicly.
Which, fair enough, nobody should be forced to adopt a label that they're uncomfortable with. But then, why would you agree to this project if you...
Exactly, why? Well, what did they lie to him? I don't think they lied to him.
You are famously unwilling to call yourself the very thing that the episode is based around. The episode was clearly planned as one Christian surrounded by atheists, and although I understand why Peterson doesn't want to box himself into a worldview, it's a little bit unfair to the people who showed up, obviously preparing quite hard beforehand in order to debate on the world stage against a Christian, only to find out that the person they're debating against doesn't call himself a Christian. Yeah,
that's pretty disappointing. Sorry, that is. Alex was polite in his. What should we do? Alex's one next week?
Episode was actually quite shocking to watch and has been widely regarded as a bit of a disaster.
I would say. Widely regarded. Looked at it. Yeah.
Certainly contained some awkward moments.
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing. Right, you're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
As for myself, I've also spent a fair amount of time with Jordan Peterson trying to get to the bottom of what his religious views are.
Did a man have intercourse with Mary?
Oh, this is the one that we should go through next week. Yeah. This one.
Produce Jesus. That's a factual question. It's not a value question.
Whoa, he's with you, boy. We gotta watch that one.
You must understand what you're being asked here.
So I think I'm quite well placed to offer a commentary on what I think went wrong when Jordan Peterson paid a visit to Jubilee. We're of course not going to watch the whole thing. I'm going to select some moments, beginning with the moment that I first came across listening to this that made me think to myself, okay, fine, I'll make a bloody response.
So in the Bible, it talks a lot about slavery, right?
Yes.
Yes. So in that, it teaches you how to take care of a slave. Rather than saying slavery is wrong, I think it should say
says that in the story of Moses.
It says slavery is incorrect. It says
Well,
it's immoral.
that's why Moses leads his people.
Does everyone either hate Jordan or worship him? I think a lot of people hate him. That they are not indifferent to him at all. There's too much. It's too long. What do you mean believe? Ooh, this one. Let's go to this one quick. Peterson's many gods problem. Okay, I'm gonna need to watch this.
God. Next, we get this extraordinary clip, which is one of the most viral from the whole episode.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I guess since you said morality and purpose cannot be found in science, it would just depend on like what you're referencing. If you're saying a description of your psychological preferences would be considered within science, sure. But I don't think that you have to say that it comes from science in order to be like an atheist. As an agnostic atheist.
Okay, he's an agnostic atheist. Also, when did I start a timer?
I don't know if God exists, and I don't believe that a God exists. And the only ones that I would really reject would be like the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good.
Yes, there, bro. You see, remember this? He gave the proper. He gave the definition, and Peterson just would not.
Perfect notion of God that plenty of Christians like prescribe themselves. So I guess
How is that relevant to this claim?
You're basing a position of morality and purpose in some like notion of God.
This is actually this is the one where I said he's won the debate. Because he did the best. Was not that sensational, but
that isn't the same type of notion of God that typical Christians would prescribe. Your notion of God is
what typical Christians?
Yeah, typically when I talk to Christians, they say that they believe in all-knowing.
About Cardinal Newman, who defined God as conscience. He's a major influence on all of Catholic social theory. How about that, Christian?
So Peterson
about him
is trying to point out that not everybody defines God in this analytically philosophical manner of all-powerful and all-loving and all-knowing. Instead, it could be something like conscience, or it could be something mysterious that we can't comprehend. But it is perfectly legitimate to ask, okay, then, Dr. Peterson, what do you mean? Are you talking about this kind of God? But Peterson really wants to know, what do we mean by believe?
Sure. So do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by
oh, come on. He could have just said yes or no.
believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean when you say you believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word
circular, I think, is pretty strange.
I said you think it
in different words. And in defining belief, this guy, Parker, I think his name is, has added the concept of thinking. You have to think it, as well as truth. You think it to be true. I think that does add new information to this word belief, even if that definition is incomplete or is a definition that Jordan Peterson disagrees with. To say that it's circular, I think, is pretty strange.
Okay. It seems like I want to see if I will go through this video myself and see where it lines up with my diagram. See if I got things the same as him. I only worship my wife. Yes, that's the only thing you're allowed to worship. Absolutely. JP Essentials. What? Okay, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. I don't know what time it will be, but it will be there. Okay, just look out for it. Your notifications are on, I assume. For those of you, if it was the first time that you've come around here, welcome. Please come back. Leave a like so you can come back, so the algorithm knows that you like me a little, or my friends in the chat, maybe you like them. Either way, come on over tomorrow. We're going to be going over some old Peterson. So did he make some sense when he was talking about political correctness? That's what we liked about him, right? Anyway, have a nice life, and okay, thanks, bye.
I'll see you next time, bro. Okay, thanks, bye. We're sparky as fuck. Daisy's a menace, but we were having fun the whole time. I'll see you next time, bro. Okay, thanks, bye. We're sparky as fuck. We're sparky as fuck. Daisy's a menace, but we were having fun the whole time. I'll see you next time, bro. Okay, thanks, bye. We're sparky as fuck. We're sparky as fuck. We're sparky as fuck. Okay, thanks, bye.